There we go. Is that better? My goodness. Hello, the voice of Indian Wells. So let's get this show on the road. Let's stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance on this March 17th. The count of three. 1, 2, 3. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Convene the meeting. Let's do a roll call. Angelica, are you going to do that or?
Councilmember Whitman,
Here.
Councilmember Reed,
Present.
Councilmember Sanders,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Penna,
Present.
Mayor Taylor.
Here I am.
That's red or on?
Okay, so are we going to approve the final agenda here?
Motion to approve.
Second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Passes unanimously. Okay, so the first item of business is the Desert Rodeo sponsorship opportunity. So I guess Kevin's going to make that presentation. Come on up, Kevin. Absolutely.
Good morning, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. For your consideration today is our Desert Rodeo sponsorship. I know the staff report explains the sponsorship level. I'll conclude my presentation to say that the item was heard by the Finance Committee, and the Finance Committee pivoted. Rather than approving it or denying, they wanted the item held today. And the reason for that has nothing to do with as much Desert Rodeo as it does that they would like to form a policy where all sponsorships are considered during the budget cycle. And with that, that concludes my report. I'm available for any questions you may have.
Anybody have any questions, gentlemen, on this fine day?
I have one question. On the on page 6 of our book, you have a list of the sponsorship fee and then the benefits. And it looks like the sponsorship fee requested is $50,000 and the total benefits are $59,400. Is that correct?
That's correct, sir.
But that doesn't include the possibility of other rooms being sold in our other hotels, or the marketing possibilities out of having the rodeo here, correct?
Correct, sir. Yes. Both of those items were not considered. The TOT direct reimbursement there that you see from room sales of $4,400 is because there are certain VIPs from the rodeo staying at one of our 4 properties.
Okay. All right. I don't think I have anything else for you. Thank you. Thanks for the report.
Thank you,
Very
sir.
well done.
Anybody else have any questions?
Mark, Kevin.
So, Bruce, I do just, you brought this to council. I'd love to hear from you personally as to why this is meaningful for us to consider.
Do you want me to make I move that we,
I need public comment first.
public comment first, yeah. And then,
I just, before there's deliberate or public comment, I'm just asking you to see if you can give us some context as to the
Okay.
origin of the proposal.
sure. Last year, the rodeo was here and we decided to go. And I had never been to a rodeo and really wasn't particularly interested in a rodeo. But I got to say that Jenny and I went a couple of days and we had more fun. It's such a great event. It's absolutely fabulous. And so I think it's something that really fits in to, if you look at our mission statement and our vision statement, I think it's something that really fits into those, where in our mission statement, our mission is to create an unsurpassed quality of life for our residents and guests by providing, among other things, outstanding amenities that will further enhance our image as a prestigious community and international resort destination. Well, this is one of these major events like tennis, like golf, that will afford an international and a national and international interest in Indian Wells and in the desert community as a whole by bringing a rodeo here, because rodeos are popular. I've learned from looking into it, rodeo, especially in the west of the United States, rodeos are very popular. And I think the one thing that the rodeo did do that was very helpful was they increased the resident benefit and the financial benefits to the city of Indian Wells when they went back for their second time. So it really fits into our mission statement, and our vision statement states that Indian Wells will continue to be a famed Southern California destination where we thrive amidst desert beauty, luxury living, and globally renowned sports and world-class events. So if what we're trying to do in sponsoring events is to fit within our mission statement and our vision statement, which I believe our policy does say that we are to do, I believe that this fits in very well to what we're trying to do here in Indian Wells for the present and in the future. And I just believe this is something that's going to grow, like tennis, like golf. As time goes on, it's on the same weekend as Stagecoach, and it's in the day where Stagecoach is at night, and it just has all of the earmarks of something that's going to be a great benefit to Indian Wells and the desert community as a whole.
Thank you. And then Kevin, were we presented as any other options for sponsorship, 10,000, 25,000, 100,000, or is this the specific sponsorship that they've presented?
This is the only sponsorship they consider.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, we open it to the floor. Is anybody, public comment? Anybody have any questions on this? We have 1, 2. So please come on up.
Good morning, Honorable Mayor, City Council. I'm John O'Hay, resident of Indian Wells. I'm curious where this event is going to be held. Thank you.
I believe it's going to be held in La Quinta or Thermal.
I believe it's held in Thermal.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Please come on up.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm Dave Eisenko, founder of Desert Rodeo and Indian Wells resident. I just wanted to thank the Finance Committee for their direction and feedback. That was much appreciated. Desert Rodeo's new proposal is a huge benefit and value to the residents of Indian Wells, and obviously being a resident here and being able to do so many different things with my family and neighbors. It's I'm looking forward to being able to allow residents come and understand what a rodeo is. Thank you, City Council, for your hard work and dedication making Indian Wells what it is. I believe we have a bright future with Indian Wells, and thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
I have a question of the speaker.
Please come back up. We have a couple questions for you.
There have been discussions on again, off again about the possibility of bringing this event to Indian Wells. What are your plans in that regard?
Indian Wells is a luxury festival rodeo, and I would say I'm looking for a forever home. We do have one right now at Desert International Horse Park, which is also a luxury location. But in being a resident and understanding what the residents want and what Southern California and international people want, I think if we can find the right location, I think it's something that we should explore. Now, as City of Indian Wells being the main city sponsor, I think that will definitely lean towards finding a forever home in Indian Wells. That would be my ultimate goal.
And how many people do you draw to the event?
7,000 people per day.
7
then-
per day.
Yeah, we're on Cowboy Channel. Last year we had 753 million media impressions, which was incredible, to be honest with you. I think we made Rolling Stone, New York Times, Cowgirl Magazine, ESPN, along with being the top 20 pitcher of New York Times last year for a first year event.
And how does your event dovetail with, if it dovetails at all, with the Acrisure Arena bull riding?
Aquasure Arena, they do a great job. But that is PBR, that's professional bull riding, and that's what it is. It's just bull riding. So what we do is we are a pro rodeo cowboy association. That's how you get to national finals rodeo. It is a sanctioned event. It is a pro sport. So this is the same thing as a Major League Baseball or a National Football League, and that's the difference.
And do you have any data on the demographic of the crowd that attends your events?
The demographic is pretty incredible. We had 34 out of 50 states people came to the rodeo last year. Obviously, it's going to be more. When we released the discount last year, we had over 200 tickets sold in the first 48 hours from Indian Wells residents. So there's a big want there. The demographic is 2 year to 92. I mean, it's all over the place. Typically, your 45 to 55-year-old is the main, I believe. So it's the good part is it touches almost every socioeconomic background. We have 1,000 VIP locations. We have 4,000 general admission in the grandstands, and then we have room for another 4,000 in the midway. So I pride myself in making this a luxury rodeo, but at the same time, it's affordable for families if they can't afford to go into the VIP area or the general admission. They're still going to see it and feel it and understand what that is.
So going back to Indian Wells residents that attend the rodeo, can you go over that number again? I think you said 200 in the first.
Over 200 tickets were sold in the first 2 days of last year when we released with your help. And then with this new package, we have 160 tickets that are going to be lotteried off, or however you guys want to do that. And then you have a premium rodeo box that holds 12 people per day for 3 days.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. Yes, sir.
I have a couple questions. Can you lament a little bit on long-term sustainability? And is this event earmarked in the tour in perpetuity for now, or did you replace another city for the event?
No, so that's a good question. There are 2 other rodeos that weekend, along with what we're doing at Stagecoach is not a rodeo, but we have Lakeside and you have Clovis. So with being a Stagecoach, with being Southern California, we are getting some of the best contestants. We had the #1 bull rider last year, and he won at our rodeo. So we're getting our contestants, and we didn't take it from anybody else, but strategically, nobody else can have that weekend now that we have that weekend. So Pro Rodeo Cowboy Association, there's not another one that's allowed to go on that weekend besides Lakeside, myself, and Clovis. I think you could do something in Riverside, but I don't think they're going to draw the attention that we have. We own that weekend.
Okay, thank you. And then as far as the fulfillment of the event and the question about it being in Indian Wells in comparison to Thermal, can you talk about how big the barn has to be, how many groomers you have to have, the type of facility that has to be put together to hold this event?
Yeah, so what I'd like to do, the rodeo arena itself is probably going to be 2 to 3 acres. The midway is going to be 2 to 3 acres. And then we need some parking. Obviously, with Indian Wells being in where it is, I think we could figure that out. We've already identified some locations that would make sense to obviously park. You have the tennis gardens, which just like BMP right now, which good job on that, wonderful job. We can utilize some of that parking and also the shuttle system that we already have.
But for the future, you're looking for a permanent home, and with that permanent home, it won't be temporary facility. It's going to be something more permanent.
It depends on how we do it. So if we take over a location that's already semi-permanent, and or if we get enough financial backing, then we can take it up and put it down. But my goal is to at least some of the assets up, so it's a less of a lift.
And then as far as naming rights to the event, can you talk about that? As far as us being a city, if we chose to move down this path?
Yeah, you will be the official city sponsor of the Desert Rodeo.
And can you talk about what that means so people, the residents can understand what you're...
Yes. So being the official city sponsor, you guys are going to get a 20% discount on any tickets that are not through the lottery system. So if anybody wants to go, and they want to get a general admission pass to VIP, they can do that, but they also get a 25% discount as well.
Okay, thank you. I do have one question for Kevin, if he could come back up. Hi, Kevin.
Hello, sir.
So my question is, it's a competing event with Stagecoach, and we all know how difficult it is to get a room or any kind of living facility here during that time. Has anybody looked at how we're gonna, if this moves forward and we expand with this rodeo, where are the people gonna stay?
No, sir. That's a good point. That has not been addressed, and that would be something we'd have to look at whether or not if the rodeo came to Indian Wells at the same time as we're having Stagecoach, we'd have to have discussions about that for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Isn't it true that Stagecoach does not fill the hotels at this point in the same way that Coachella week 1 and 2 fill the hotels?
You know, sir, I'm so sorry. I don't know
Okay.
how much it fills it. So that's part of the discussion, I think.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I have one more question of the proponent,
Of the founder, CEO?
CEO, yeah. Is your advertising set now? Have you, chiseled in stone your advertising for the rodeo for this year?
No, we're obviously already marketing and advertising, but we can update as needed as soon as possible.
Okay, so to what degree would the city of Indian Wells be included in your advertising?
It'll be we can do media, we can do social media. Obviously, we have a big following on that. We have thousands of radio commercials. We can try to update that as soon as possible and then rerun that 30-second. We also have a 30-second video as well that we're running. We can add that logo. And then also we could do branding, and we have assets that we can utilize at City Hall. I'm open to whatever you guys would like to do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
One more question. Okay, so with the naming rights, what would the name of the event be?
The name Desert Rodeo.
Desert Rodeo. So the Indian Wells name would never be tied to that as far as the being a city sponsor or the city sponsor?
Yeah, it will. We can add the logo. We can say official city sponsors, Indian Wells, all of the branding. We can put Indian Wells on all of that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Just one more thing for our city manager, who has some information about hotels. Thank you.
Yeah, so the Councilmember Whitman asked about the period during Stagecoach and hotel partnerships and filling of the rooms. I know Samuel Thompson's here from Visit Greater Palm Springs, as well as Michaela, and we attended a meeting with our general managers a few weeks ago, and they've said that Coachella Week #1 this year completely sold out. Coachella Week #2 a little softer, and so a couple rooms still left over, and as well as Stagecoach a little softer. And they say it varies year to year depending on the lineups. But right now, that's the projections they have for this year for the hotels.
And we were able to work out. You were able to work out a deal with with Tommy Bahamas
That's correct.
for quite a few rooms blocked.
We have a room block of 10 up to 20. We are doing Farmer Wants a Wife is staying at the Miramonte, which is a Fox TV show, and then also some other executives and VIPs.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments? Okay. You may be seated. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you for your time.
Team, does anybody have any motion that they'd like to make for us to deliberate upon?
I move that we sponsor the rodeo as suggested for this year, and also include the rodeo, even though the the specific parameters may not apply with respect to reporting if they don't, that we require reporting as we would for any other sponsorship or grants and aid gift that we make within 90 days after the rodeo is done.
Is there a second?
For purposes of discussion, I'll second the motion.
Okay, gentlemen, does anybody have any comment? Okay, Mr. Reed?
Yes, at our last meeting, I believe oh, good, thank you. At our last, hang on.
You have our attention, Mr. Reed.
Well, I'm waiting for the,
You can multitask.
yeah, well, it's kind of difficult. At the last meeting, we, I believe, agreed at the suggestion of the mayor that we have a workshop on contributions and sponsorships. And this is a perfect example of why we need a workshop, because in my opinion, there is a distinct difference between making contributions to public charities, nonprofit, tax-exempt public charities, and making payments to profit-making organizations. Now, we do make contributions or payments to profit-making organizations. The tennis garden is a perfect example. Acature is another example. I'm sure we can think of other ones if I can think of it quickly. So there are benefits to the city to support private for-profit operations, or even if they're nonprofit, they're mutual benefit and they're not public benefit corporations. But to me, if we're going to be supporting a profit-making organization, we need a real, honest ROI, because otherwise it just goes into the pockets of either the members of the nonprofit mutual benefit organization or to the shareholders if it's a for-profit organization, and it just drops to the bottom line, and we're just giving away money if we don't have a real ROI, which of course we obviously do with tennis. And I know the other one is the golf, the ladies golf, where we can quantify existing ROI to make our contribution or payments cost effective. I'm going to make a substitute motion that we postpone this and that we wait until we have our planning session where we have a policy of what are we going to do about sponsorships with those organizations that are not public benefit, nonprofit, tax-exempt organizations. And that we look at this next year if it fits within our policy, or at least at the very least, we can give everyone a copy of our policy so that they can fashion their ask in conformance with our policy. One last thing, I believe that this was Mr. Whitman's first rodeo. Which is kind of a, I didn't mean that as a joke, but it turned out, it turned out to be a joke. I've been to many, many rodeos. I love rodeos. This has nothing to do with whether I enjoy or don't enjoy rodeos. They're wonderful. I would urge everyone to go to Las Vegas in early December to NFR. It's a fabulous operation. If we could ever have anything even remotely close to that in Indian Wells, I would be 100% supportive. So it has nothing to do with that. But my recommendation is that we table this and that we have our planning session and that we look at it next year.
There's an amended motion on the table. I believe we need a second. Does anybody want to second the amended motion?
I'm not ready to.
No. Okay, so we'll go back to the first motion. Does anybody else have any comments with regard to the first motion? Please, Brian.
So I do have a few comments.
Been seconded?
It was not seconded, it was taken.
The first.
The first motion was seconded.
You're seconded, okay.
So, being an advocate for resident benefits and being an advocate for the future of our city, I do believe this is a wonderful event. I do agree with Dana as far as making sure that we have all the information to make the decision to move forward with this. And then doing so, including this is into community activities. So we do have a committee making sure that this is properly fulfilled. Yeah, I just feel like this is so late to the party for this event. And it's not that I'm gonna echo Dana's comments. I love rodeo too, been to NFR. I don't want to take my wife next time because we spent way too much money at the Cowboy Christmas that was before it. But it's truly a wonderful, very wholesome event, and I think it brings a lot of people together. And it would be good for our city to have an alternative event besides golf and tennis and pickleball and some of the other things that we do. Having rodeo would definitely be a benefit to our city. So I hope that we can come to some kind of conclusion here that we can move this forward in a way to where we're all very educated on what we're voting on here. Thank you.
You have a comment, Bruce?
Well, only to say that in terms of an ROI, obviously, there's a list of benefits that the city would receive by being the sponsor of this event. And so if you're talking about bringing a profit to the bottom line, I'm not sure that this would achieve that, but as a resident benefit ROI, it certainly would, because of the benefits that are being offered to our residents in this package. I don't want to go to Las Vegas to go to a rodeo. I would rather go to a rodeo down the street if I'm going to go. So I love the idea of having it here so I can just drive there and park and go to the rodeo and not have to fly or drive to Las Vegas 4.5 hours. Thanks.
So, based on everything I've heard here today, what I would like to do is potentially amend the motion to say, move for approval for 1 year, subject to us receiving a presented by or sponsored by credit for the City of Indian Wells on all paid ads, press releases, and media. And that we will evaluate in 1 year the satisfaction of our residents and their participation, the media that was spent, and thirdly, a plan to move the event to Indian Wells within the next 2 years. On that basis, I would move for approval.
I'll second that substitute motion. The intriguing part of this to me is the opportunity to reach a demographic in this country that I think heretofore has been not ignored, but we just haven't ever thought about attracting the kind of demographic that this kind of an event would bring to the valley. This is not my first rodeo either. I've been to a few, and I can tell you that it's not a poor man's sport. Just the horses, the amount of money that it takes to participate in an event like this. It's the kind of demographic that I think we want to reach and bring to this city and help to fill our hotel rooms. On that basis, and on the basis that there's a commitment here to include the City of Indian Wells in the advertising for the event, sways me in favor of this.
Okay, call to question. Let's have a vote, please. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those
No.
against? No one, no? Okay, so 4 of us say yes, Mr. Reed says no. The motion passes. I believe that brings us to a recess for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Maybe we'll add a table here if that's possible so that we can have a little more space as we're going to add a couple more people. So let's, it's now 9:30. Let's adjourn, or let's come back in the room at 9:40. Thank you. Let's get this show on the road. Thank you very much. You know, I did admire the line judges at the tennis garden this weekend. I thought maybe we could have one come to our city council meetings who would say things like, please, when there was noise in the room, or 15 Dana Reed, 30 Whitman, things like that. Anyways, we're on now to our City Council and Housing Authority Joint Strategic Planning meeting. I guess we need to do another roll call, so I'll allow you go ahead with that, Angelica.
Commissioner Warden? Commissioner O'Hay?
Present.
Commissioner Sanders?
Present.
Commissioner Penna? I'm sorry, apologies. Commissioner Whitman?
Here.
Vice Chair Penna? Commissioner Reed?
Present.
Chair Taylor?
I'm here. All right, so as we start our strategic planning session, I thought I would just take a moment to, create the context for today. In local government, city council establishes the strategy for a city, and then the city staff, Chris and team, execute that strategy. So our annual strategic planning day allows our council and community to see in one presentation the large initiatives which will impact our community for the next 5 to 10 years. I believe the key strategies we're going to discuss today fit into kind of 3 buckets. One of them is tourism, one of them is health, and the other is community development. Below, or I should say, as we go through the decks here today, you'll see that we have kind of 10 key strategies. Updating the celebrity course, meeting our low-income housing objectives, including a park and recreation campus, enabling the Cocoon Hotel condo spa development project, making our streets safer, reinforcing our water channel, legislative focus on the FAA, dust, and RENA shared credits, extending our relationship with the tennis garden, enabling the Renaissance Hotel expansion, ensuring mobile access to our entire community, cell phone tower installation, and replace palm trees which are at the end of their life. Let's dive in. So, so what we do now, I guess, is we see if there's any public comments. Angelica, do we have any public comments before we begin?
No, I don't have any at this time.
Okay. So we dive into the strategic planning and goal setting session for the city. I believe that's your role, Dr. Freeland, to jump in.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Good morning, everybody, and happy St. Patrick's Day. I hope you're all wearing your green. If I could give a friendly reminder, if you could please silent your phone if you haven't done so already. As the mayor said, today is our annual strategic planning session. It was 11 months ago today that we held the city's 2025 strategic planning session. Before we begin, I want to thank the City Council for their input into this document that we're going to go through today, city staff and Troon for their work in putting together this important strategic planning session, and for each of you in the audience who are here today to be part of this activity. The mayor already talked about the opportunity for public comments at this point. We're going to go through various sections or goals of the city today, and at the conclusion of each of those sections, there'll be further opportunity for public comment as well. For today's agenda, real quick, our finance director, Kevin McCarthy, will provide a financial review of the city, golf resort, and housing authority. Once Kevin has completed his presentation, we'll review the housing authority projects and programs. We'll take a small intermission at that time where we'll excuse our housing authority commissioners to return to the audience, and then we will move into the city and golf resort projects and programs for 2026. And then we shall conclude our strategic planning session. The mayor already covered why we're here today, and that is the idea of strategic planning, which is focused on city's visions and values, select projects and programs to meet and achieve the goals of our community, analyze resources needed, available resources that we have. It's important that as we move forward in accomplishing goals that we have the resources to do it, which is both money and people. And then finally, who will be doing what and by when. And so just as a reminder, here's our vision statement and mission statement. And the vision statement is one that was just completed this past year as part of our strategic goals. And I'll read through those real quickly. And it says, create an unsurpassed quality of life for our residents and guests by providing superior public safety, exceptional service, and outstanding amenities that will further enhance our image as a prestigious community and international resort destination. And as part of that, our vision statement, Indian Wells will continue to be a famed Southern California destination where we thrive amidst desert beauty, luxury living, globally renowned sports, fine cuisine, and world-class events. And so what we'll do now is I'll turn it over to our finance director, Kevin McCarthy, who will go through our finances, and then we'll begin the rest of the session. Kevin.
Put that right there.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, members of the Housing Authority Board. Today, we'll look at those key topics on the screen. The idea today I want you to come away with as part of your strategic planning is twofold. One, I'd like you to come away with an understanding of the city's cash position, and two, what it looks like going forward for the next couple of years. So when you look at the city's cash position, we finished last year with $97 million in cash. And of that, we have certain what we call key cash reserves. These are predominantly unrestricted monies that we can spend. And so when you look at that, it starts off with our capital reserve plan. We finished the year with about $29 million. And as part of your budget and during your budget cycle, these funds grow, included in the budget, by more than $2 million a year. We finished with nearly $20 million this year in our city's general fund as well, far more than we needed as part of the 70% reserve policy that you passed about a year ago. And looking at the capital improvement fund, we finished with about $19.3 million. What's important about this is that represents the city's share, 100% of our funds in cash for the entire 5-year capital improvement fund. We have all of this money up front. Now, I see some of you looking at me. During the budget cycle, Mr. McCarthy, we adopted a $69 million 5-year CIP. Where's my $50 million? I'm so glad you asked. So now is our city grant program. Dina and I call this our Freeland funds. We have a total of $50 million in applications. We've received, as you can see, $4.9 million. We have another $18 million already approved. So as those projects start going, during those projects, we'll start drawing those funds out. And we have another $27 million or so that's already been submitted and under review with various federal, state, and local agencies. Looking at the general fund forecast, the line that I really want you to pay attention to is our surplus line. In a very, very conservative number, we are looking at saving about $66 million over the next 10-year period. And last year, as you know, the City Council put together their surplus distribution program in essence of telling our money where to go rather than wondering where it went. So all of these funds are going to be reinvested in the city as part of capital reserves, operating reserves, and future capital investments. Thank you. The next is an update on our general fund loan. This was part of the loan, $17.7 million that occurred during the dissolution of redevelopment in 2012. So year to date, we've received about 12.1 million. And even more so, just last week, we received final approval from the State Department of Finance for an additional 3.8 million, which will be paid to the city in July of 2026, which remains our last loan, our last fund amount of 1,800,000 will be paid to the city in July of 2027. Looking at the community housing,
Can I just
2027.
Can I just ask, I mean, when you have their loan, this is money that we're owed. This isn't money that we've loaned anybody else. We
Correct.
loaned it to the state, in essence, through the redevelopment company, corporation. Okay.
We had originally loaned the former redevelopment agency this money, and now we're being paid back. Correct. So, and the next is looking at our community housing forecast. I must say, what a turnaround we've seen in both Indian Wells Villas and Mountain View Villas. Now that we're parting ways with all of that deferred maintenance, we have revenue stability going forward, we're operating, and we've now begun reserving capital going forward. So that's the line I'd like you to look at going forward, is the capital line. Over the next 10 years at Indian Wells Villas, we'll potentially save up to about 3.4 million, which is budgeted, and at Mountain View Villas of 4.6, collectively about $8 million over the next 8 years. And one of the comparisons, one of the key metric comparisons I wanted to provide is, how much is this? How well are we really doing? So the numbers below is the capital replacements per unit. And that's an equation of how much money we're actually saving per unit per year. And you can see that's about $3,700 a year at Indian Wells Villas and about $3,600 at Mountain View Villas. And how that compares, the national average today is between $3,400 and $3,500. So this tells me, as one of those metrics, that this operation, these companies, so to speak, are operating in a very financially sound format. I will have one caveat. Many housing communities have no capital reserves, and they just operate revenue over expenses. Looking at the forecast for the authority, kind of much the same way. This year, we received about 30% from a city land sale. So we had additional funds coming into the housing authority itself. We have been surprisingly resilient with the authority as far as interest income coming in as well. Now, don't get me wrong, we still have been talking about last few years looking at an alternative funding source. We still need that, but not at the rate that I originally had told everyone. It looks like the fund itself is more resilient than I originally forecasted. As a matter of fact, you can see we're still setting aside over this 3-year period about $900,000 for capital repairs and maintenance going forward. The authority's job is threefold, right? Preserve the units that we have, both Indian Wells Villas, Mountain View Villas. Construct or work with private public partnerships to construct new affordable units, and as deemed necessary, acquire land. The last item I'd like to speak to, just give you an update, is the Indian Wells Golf Resort. You have seen this slide before. No doubt you will see it again. This slide marks a key shift in the processing and the economics of the Indian Wells Golf Resort. From 2010 through 2022, the golf resort had cumulative losses of about $8 million. Excuse me. Sorry, gentlemen, ladies. Of about $8 million, all of which were refunded or subsidized by the city's general fund. And during 22-23, we crafted a brand new agreement with our operating partner that requires a profit or at least break even after capital, and you can see that our before capital profit has changed. The apples and apples comparison here, a cumulative operating income since has been just over $3.2 million, which leads me to my last slide. How are we doing this year? Through January, we're about 9.5% better than our budget, but don't let that fool you. Really, the answer here is we just haven't spent as much capital as we will. By the time June rolls around, we'll have spent all the capital. So when you look at the table on the right, this is where I think we're going to land at the end of the year. The original budget surplus adopted by council was $100,000. I think that's exactly where we're going to land. I would like to take one moment, Mr. Mayor, to show you the difference here. So in looking at this, every month we look at dozens and dozens of key metrics of how the golf course is reporting, looking at all the different programs, right? And what happens is that all those key metrics add up to the annualized key metric. So here, where I think we're going to land is about $100,000 below top line revenue. It's about half of 1%. Well, our operating partner has been able to acknowledge that and make adjustments. So we're going to actually spend about $100,000 less in operating costs because that revenue is not there. And in essence, we're going to land in exactly the same place, bottom line surplus that the city council adopted. And with that, I have 3 ads for you today. One, look, since the golf resort is now profitable, I'm sorry, a little dry. I think I have a little allergy going on, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry.
Yeah. What's in that cup?
Right. Angelica gave it to me. I don't know. I'm kidding, Angelica. I'm kidding. The city finance committee just reviewed and approved the golf resort a brand new capital reserve policy. And why that's important is because for the first time now that we're profitable, we want to make sure that we have an actual policy to reserve all those funds in the golf fund to pay for long-term improvements. Additionally, as you all know, annually, we send out our financial primer. I'm very proud to report that that's done. It's in printing, and it'll be beginning to be mailed out next week. And I can't wait to share it with you and all the residents. Look for it in your mailboxes at the end of the week, something that we've done every year. And remember, all of those numbers are based on audited financial statements. And lastly, on May 13th, we're having a budget study session. So we haven't done that for a while, where we're having one meeting dedicated to nothing but the budget. So we'll be talking about revenues and expenses. And if you're interested in how the financial sausage gets made, this is the meeting for you. And with that, I conclude my presentation. I'll turn it back over to Dr. Freeland. And of course, I'm available for any questions you may have.
Gentlemen up here on the dais, do we have any questions for our CFO?
Yes, I have just a point of clarification. Hi, Kevin. Thank you for your presentation. Comprehensive as always. Really appreciate it.
Okay.
Going to the item here, the general fund loan update. Does any of that approved $3.8 million from the former redevelopment agency trickle down into the housing authority?
Great question, Commissioner O'Hay. Yes, it does. 20% of those funds coming in are directed, once they are received by the city, they're directed to the housing authority.
Thank you. And the second one, just point of clarification, in the housing authority forecast, you talked of revenues of $1.5 million going forward. And now that, I assume that is split between the properties. That's not what per property, that is split.
Commissioner O'Hay, would you repeat that? I'm sorry, I lost you.
Okay, on the housing authority forecast on page 6, they show the housing authority forecast in millions, the revised estimate going forward, 26, 27, 28. We've got revenues of $1.5 million, 26, 1.5, 27, and 1.1 and 28.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that is split between the properties. It's not per property.
No, sir. Yes. So there in the housing authority, there are 3 independent funds. One fund for each of the 2 community properties, and separately the housing authority fund, and that's what this is, sir.
Okay, so each property would get a third of that.
So the purpose of this fund is, as I said, was threefold. It's to support the community housing that's existing. So to do that, right, you're right about that. It's also to construct new units and when deemed necessary to acquire new land. So it's doing all 3 of those things.
I see. So there isn't one amount to each specific property. It's on an as-needed basis.
That's correct, sir.
Okay,
That's
thank you.
correct.
And just for clarity, it may not, that specific line item that you're discussing may not be applied to the 2 existing homes that we own. Rather, it could be for new construction of homes or other uses, buying land, etc.
Correct, Mr.
So
Mayor.
it may never come into the 2 homes, just for clarity.
Mr. Mayor, if I may add to that, to Mr. McCarthy's presentation, and that's because of the way we've structured the both properties to be operationally self-sufficient now and to start creating that reserve fund at both properties, correct?
That's correct, sir.
So the intent is maybe, hopefully, we don't have to dip into these funds for those properties, but it is available if needed.
Other questions on the dais?
I have a comment, and to make my point, can you go back to, I think, the first slide that shows all of the cash we have available? Yeah, there you go. I know Councilmember Reed is going to shoot me because he doesn't like to advertise that we have reserves to the degree we have, fearful that the state might come in and take all of our money away. But I need this slide to make a point. Councilman Penna and I serve on the Public Safety Committee. So we necessarily have to look at things like the Emergency Operations Center in the event of a natural disaster. We have a city permanent residence, más o menos 5,000. And we have cash on hand, $88 million. I mean, the city of Los Angeles would kill to have those kinds of reserves. So I think we owe a debt of gratitude to you, Kevin, for your financial stewardship over the years, number one. Number two, back to the Public Safety Committee, we have to think in terms of what happens if there's a very serious natural disaster that befalls us. We live just a few miles from the San Andreas Fault. So let's assume there's a 8.5, 9.0 earthquake. How long can this city survive? We have no tax base. So theoretically, we could be in a situation where we have no tourists coming to town. Hotels are damaged and can't accommodate visitors in any event. So it's just gratifying to me to know that we could survive for several years without missing a beat with these kinds of cash reserves. Thank you.
Except our expenses would be off the roof if we had an 8.5 earthquake. We'd have to replace City Hall. We'd have to replace everything. So yes, it's wonderful to have that money, but if we have a natural disaster, we're going to have to spend it. We're not going to be able to just
Well,
maintain the status quo.
Yeah, we have, I think, well-placed reliance on organizations like FEMA which we've used for sources of repairing infrastructure here in the past. And so the point is we could survive for a number of years.
Thank you, Mr. Sanders. Did we have any other comments before we ask for public comment?
Just one question about the golf resort. So we have a long-term contract with Troon to manage the golf resort, correct?
That's correct, sir.
And every year they set up an annual budget and they have to meet that budget up to 85% in order to maintain the contract, correct?
That's correct, sir.
And if they fall below 85% of their budget, then they could continue the contract by replacing that money up to 85%. Is that correct too?
Yeah, at council option, yes, sir. They have that option.
Okay. And the golf resort is a separate business. Council policy, since changing to the long-term contract with Troon, is that the golf resort make $1 of profit. Is that correct?
Yeah, $1 of profit after capital.
After capital, and that would include the discount that residents receive as a resident benefit. True.
That's correct. All revenues, all expenses, $1.
And of course, we would like the golf resort to make more than $1 because then we can put it into our capital reserves and continue to use that.
Yes, sir. That's the
But the
intention.
council policy is that it make $1. No more. That's our policy.
That's the policy. A minor clarification, sir, is that you adopt a budget every single year. So this year's budget, after capital, was $100,000, as I outlined on the screen. That is the expectation for the year, not $1. So the
$101,000 in effect
for this
for this year.
particular.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, I have a couple questions here. Let's go to slide 7, please. The cash reserves. Thank you. Kevin, where's the other 8 million?
The other 8 million is what's called restricted, and most of that money lies in your special revenue funds. Prime example of that are the 17 lighting and landscaping funds, so on and so forth.
Okay, so you couch these cash reserves as largely free to spend, but I'm not sure that's 100% accurate because in these like pension funds and fire funds, et cetera, they've been dedicated to those specific funds so that, we can't dip into those for own desires. The only fund that is really there to apply is our general fund to a variety of initiatives, correct?
Sir, so these, like I said earlier, they're largely discretionary, unrestricted. That pension fund isn't money that's actually invested in the pension. It's money held by the city for pension reserves. So if the city council wanted to divert some of those funds for another purpose, it could. The one fund that is, to your point, Mr. Mayor, restricted is the fire fund, because of the types of revenues coming in. So that's, if you were wanting to have fully unrestricted, I would remove the fire fund. The rest of the funds could stay.
Thank you. Slide number 9, general fund forecast. I'm assuming that this surplus is estimated for what, July 2026? Like year end is what, end of June or end of July?
June of 26, sir.
Right. Okay. And then on slide 11, community housing forecast. These are not necessarily savings per year, as maybe the language you use, but rather reserves for deployment within the 2 housing complexes. Is that a fair way of couching them?
I actually think that is more fair because to some degree, the housing community could spend a portion of that each year. I expect they will.
Okay. In Yeah, we already dealt with 12 with Mr. O'Shea's comments. Let's see, 14. So, yes, to Mr. Whitman's point, we approve a budget every year, and that budget we try and live into. So, and this year we're looking at $100,000 forecast that you anticipate us hitting, which is terrific, assuming we can do so based on all the chaos of a new course, etc. Okay, with that said, I don't think we have any more questions up here. Do we have any public comment on this particular matter? Anybody? Nobody? Okay. Then do we go directly to Housing Authority from here? Chris, please present.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the Housing Authority. As we begin discussion on Housing Authority goals, I want to give a little bit of clarification what you're going to see on this screen here. So first and foremost, we have the Housing Authority goal, which is Housing Authority was established with a strategic mandate to promote the retention, rehabilitation, and development of affordable housing units within Indian Wells. Underneath that, you have a variety of projects and programs, a time period of when we believe we can accomplish these goals, who the responsible department is, so who's going to be responsible getting it done, and the status. You'll see several that are completed, in progress, ongoing, or pending. Completed means the goal is completed. In progress means staff currently working on the goal. Pending, staff has not begun any significant work on the goal. And finally, there are going to be a couple new goals for council discussion later on this morning. What is important as we go through this is we have, in order to help expedite today's meeting, provided some status and some timelines, but please know that it's the Housing Authority's prerogative if you wish to agendize and reprioritize any of these programs or projects. On the items that are completed, I'll probably go through those rather quickly. And then spend a little bit more time on those in progress or ongoing and pending, just for clarification for the group. So as we go through the first one, last year the council said the Housing Authority said to please implement the 6th cycle of our housing element. That has been implemented, and that will continue to do so for the next couple of years. Second item there that has been completed is to develop a strategy on declining Housing Authority funds. Kevin just covered that. And in that item, we actually have showed that we're starting to put money away to be reinvested into the properties individually. And then we do have some remaining redevelopment fund monies that are still coming in. Underneath the category of additional regional housing needs assessment, there's actually multiple goals under that we're going to spend some time on. And the first one is develop strategies to extend affordability covenants at Indian Wells and Mountain View Villas. So last year, the Housing Authority authorized staff to begin the process of extending the covenants. If you remember, Indian Wells Villas covenants expire in 2031. The covenants at Mountain View Villas expire in 2036. When we use the words covenants, that means that they remain affordable until that period of time, at which time the Housing Authority who owns the property could either make that go affordable units, which I don't think that has ever been the discussion or the intent of this body, but find ways to extend those covenants in order to maintain their affordability. What's important, though, as part of that process is under a new state law that took effect January 1st, if the Housing Authority reinvests approximately $60,000 on average per unit, we get 1 unit of credit towards RHNA. So between the two affordable housing properties, there's a potential for 200 RHNA credits that we can accommodate in this cycle or the next cycle based on that new state law. And that is what we're focusing on. And we do have a consultant on board, RSG, who is working through that process to come up with these strategies to help the Housing Authority make a decision probably in the fall of this year is what our goal is. And so that will be a combination of we're getting appraisals done at both properties and a needs assessments of improvements both now and the future at both of those properties. The next item is developing new housing units, and specifically at the LaSoy Opportunity Site. As you recall, this property is the 34 acres located at the corner of Miles and Warner Trail. The city or the Housing Authority is looking to do 10 acres of affordable housing units, which is approximately 200 units, with 24 acres of park and recreation open space and parking for this property. Just to share with the community, just a few weeks ago on February 17th, the courts ruled that the city complied with state law in attempting to negotiate a purchase price for this land prior to the eminent domain action. It's important to share that with folks because there's been misinformation circling the community that the city did not attempt to negotiate a sale price. We did, and the courts actually agreed that the city did so. And in fact, the city made several attempts to negotiate that property. The court also ruled in the city's favor that the resolution of a necessity to use the property for affordable housing, park space, and ancillary parking is also in compliance with state law. This means the city has proven to the courts that it has a legitimate need for this land and proposed use of this land is lawful. There remain some additional legal actions to be done with the courts, including a filing of a motion for immediate possession, which would grant the city the ability to move forward with our projects. Once granted immediate possession, the city wants to be fully prepared to continue the work that has already started on this project. And so staff is recommending as part of this goal, the following actions. With the court judgment in our favor, we wish to continue advancing this project by working with our existing Native American consultants to continue and complete an in-depth survey for cultural resources, conduct RFPs for consultants to assist with planning, engineering, park space use, environmental review of our future projects, and continue discussions with the Desert Recreation District on a joint park project, and to have staff provide an update on efforts with Summit Development and Abode Communities on the affordable housing units. Both those organizations have existing exclusive negotiating agreements with the Housing Authority and the city, and we wish to continue those discussions and bring those all back to the council and the Housing Authority at a later date. The next item is support legislation, giving cities more tools to address RHNA requirements. We have been very successful in advocating for, on there it says AB 726. That is the legislation I mentioned that allows cities and housing authorities to reinvest $60,000 per unit to get 1 unit of credit. In addition, we have been working closely with Assemblymember Wallace, who is sponsoring legislation so that the Cove communities, which is Indian Wells, Palm Desert, and Rancho Mirage, can partner together to create student housing over the Cal State San Bernardino Palm Desert campus. What's important about this right now is that, as the Housing Authority knows, is if the city and the Housing Authority invest money outside of our community, we do not get what's called RHNA credits, or Regional Housing Needs Assessment credits. And so the law is to create a pilot program for the 3 cities to partner together to address housing as a regional project and get credit in a neighboring jurisdiction, which is not currently allowed by law. And it's something that is important to this region, is to create student housing for the expansion of the university. And Indian Wells could be one of the people to help make that happen. And then finally, we have the item here for pending, which is the development of the housing element for the 7th cycle. We're required to complete this regardless in a couple of years. You'll see that the next housing element cycle is for 2029 to 2037. And so we are saying that this is pending. The Housing Authority can keep this on the list or take it off, and we can bring it back at a later date. And then finally, staff recommends the Housing Authority approve the projects and programs as presented by city staff unless amended. And with that, Mr. Mayor, myself and the rest of the staff are here to answer any questions.
Anybody on the dais have questions for Chris?
I do.
Brian?
Chris, can you, we've had this discussion before in regard to the $12 million that's in escrow for the Losoy property. Can you just reiterate where that money came from to the residents?
It did. So, and Kevin, I'll have you be prepared to come up. And that is the $12 million has been put into the courts, which was a requirement in order to secure the valuation date of the property that we're acquiring. So the $12 million actually came out of the Housing Authority Fund for the purchase of all 34 acres. And at a later date, the City Council and the Housing Authority is likely to see a partial refund or return of some of those monies, because some of the property are likely to become city property when it becomes a park.
And can you also lament on the consequence of that money if it was not placed in escrow?
So that's a great question. So there's a state law that says that communities that have former redevelopment money sitting in their housing authority too long, it creates what's called an excess surplus. And the city of Indian Wells was in jeopardy of losing millions of dollars back to the state of California because we had too much money in the housing authority. So strategically, the housing authority made the decision to put this $12 million to acquire the property, and that removed that concern of excess surplus and the state taking those $12 million.
Thank you.
Anybody else with questions?
I have a
Mr. Whitman?
question. Has the state given us the number of units, market, low, very low, that we need to complete or need to provide for in the next RENA cycle?
They have not, John, that comes, what, about 28 maybe? Yeah, so community development, John Berg just mentioned from the audience, so everybody at home can hear as well, that we'll get those numbers in probably early 2028.
Okay, so right now we're at about 190 we have to do, and will it increase, likely increase?
We would expect it to increase, knowing the state, yes.
And the number's 280.
280. Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And we are in compliance right now with the state of California.
Correct. The requirements of the housing element is to plan for units, and the city successfully got that agreed to by the state.
Yeah, and the reinvestment money as well, that counts.
It certainly does,
Yeah.
yes, as that'll help create RENA credits in the future.
Any other questions on the dais?
Just a point of clarification, please. In regards the develop strategies to extend affordability covenants section, I know we dedicated a substantial amount of money to RSG to get an assessment. And you said we could expect one by the end of 2026. Do we get any incremental reports as that goes forward?
We don't at this time. They're waiting for the completion of the appraisal of the properties as well as the needs assessment. So the RSG is in a circling pattern until they get that data from the city.
Okay, thank you.
Can you state what RSG is?
Yeah, RSG is a housing consultant that the Housing Authority approved to do the various strategies to help protect the covenants of those two properties.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If there's no other questions, we'll open it up to the floor for public comment. Does anybody have any comments on this particular matter? No comments. Back to the dais. Do I have a motion to, let's see, approve the staff recommendation?
So move.
Any deliberation? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Okay, so we're on to the next agenda item, although do we
If we take just a couple
want
of
to
minutes.
close this particular portion to allow our friends to exit the dais and maintain just the council up here?
Yes, please.
So what, about 5 minutes?
That'd be wonderful.
Okay, it's 10:25. Let's gather together again at 10:30. Thank you very much. All right, let's get this show on the road. Thank you, everyone. Or as the line judge would say, please begin. All right. So now we're going to the next step here, city projects and programs. And the first section we're going to be discussing is safeguarding the community. Over to you, Chris.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Now we're going to start diving into the various goals and programs that have been established by the City Council. And the first goal is safeguarding our community. The goal statement is to provide enhanced public safety, prevention, preparedness, and emergency response programs. The Public Safety Committee is to have oversight over all these strategies and initiatives. In a similar format to one we just went through with the Housing Authority. So we're going to start off with the very first item, which is review the police department model for efficiency and effectiveness. And I will say the highlight has been Deputy Yu doing a great job out in our community. We joke about it at the council meetings. I think he said he had 2,400 traffic citations and last year, which is a record for the Palm Desert area, or actually I think all of Riverside County. And that is because also there's been a focus from this body to hear what residents have said regarding traffic enforcement. So this past year, the Public Safety Committee and eventually Council approved a change in our deployment model where we now have a redeployment model which provided 1.5 additional motorcycle officers in our community. And as we will continue to be monitoring our police department for efficiency and effectiveness, we are considering that specific goal completed. But again, we'll be reviewing at the public safety level. Similarly, in the review of the staffing increase, or excuse me, I jumped down to police. We should also be talking about the fire department effectiveness. And that is we reviewed the fire deployment model for efficiency and effectiveness. And 2 programs have come out of that this year. One is by working with the Cove communities in partnership, we're able to successfully reduce our ISO rating from a level 3 to a level 2 community. And what that means is it shows the region that we have excellent fire coverage in these 3 neighboring communities, and we partner our resources to provide that extra coverage and resources as well. And that does have an impact on everything from, my understanding is insurance rates, and to the ability for insurance companies to provide rates here or insurance coverage in our community. I just want to note that some of the partnerships we do is we share fire marshal services, the ladder truck, an ambulance, and much more between our communities. And so staff would consider this item completed. However, it will continue to be monitoring with the Public Safety Committee. Lastly, 2 other items here is develop policy to inspect commercial kitchen fire suppression systems. We had noticed that there is a state law that requires the fire department to come in and inspect certain large facilities like our hotel partners and hospitals and schools, but did not have our review of our kitchen fires, or excuse me, commercial kitchens throughout Indian Wells. And so the City Council approved a new program, which is now in place, that began in January of this year. So that we are considering completed as well. And then also examine opportunities to expand Opticom systems to gated communities, and that too is completed. The council approved a program last year. I can tell you that there's been great response from our folks at our gated communities to implement those Opticom systems. For the public, if you're not aware of what the Opticom system is a sensor at automated gates that when a fire truck comes popping up, it has a strobe and it opens the gate up automatically so the fire department personnel can get in and save seconds. More close, I think 30 seconds is the number that was shared to us with the fire department. And as seconds matter in emergency response, it's a great program to be in place. The city also offered up a rebate program where many communities took advantage of a partial rebate to pay for those systems as well. Continue on, the city also completed its city's emergency operations plan. The council made one of its significant priorities this past year is to expand emergency preparedness programs in our community. And that's the first one is the adoption of the emergency operation plan. And that plan is also submitted to the state of California where it was certified as well. We celebrated Emergency Preparedness Month. And during the year, we had our Emergency Preparedness Backpack Program. Where we sold hundreds of backpacks here in the community to expand resident preparedness. A little controversial throughout the state of California was adopting fire hazard maps. Cities are required to adopt the maps that are presented to us by the state of California. And so there is legislation occurring in Sacramento where cities might actually have a little bit of input on these fire hazard maps in the future. So we'll see if that is successful at all. But here where the state requires we adopt these fire hazard maps and we really have no say in those maps. Partner with Cove communities, that is in progress. Again, the Cove communities over the last couple of years have really upped its game in partnering to share resources, which saves money for all 3 cities, but also provides a better product for the communities. And so we're partnering on CERT, which is Citizen Emergency Response Teams. And that is an opportunity where residents in all 3 communities go through a training that in the case of an emergency, they can come and help be first responders in a sense to help provide service to the residents. And so that is in progress right now. We are in the process of seeking funding for an emergency operations center. Our center is old and obsolete, and so we're looking to expand it a little bit, but also rehabilitate it. It is next to the fire station, and it's a shared area where the police department have access to come in and do police report writing and whatnot. I can tell you right now, we have submitted $3 million request to the United States House of Representatives and our U.S. senators. So we are hopeful that we'll receive funding. We've submitted it to Congressman Calvert, state or U.S. Senators Schiff and Padilla as well. And we've been very successful in the past in obtaining that grant money. And so that's what our hope is for the coming year. And then we also have in progress the development of a cellular master plan. This has been a priority of the council because our dead areas throughout the community where people cannot call 911 or other purposes for their cellular phones. And we have a consultant that was hired by the council late last year, and we are expecting a report to be presented to the council at your May agenda. And with that, Mr. Mayor of the council, those are the various recommendations for the council's consideration to move forward unless there's any changes in those priorities. And with that, that concludes this item, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, does anybody on the dais here have any questions for staff?
I just have a question about, maybe it's a question. Councilmember Sanders and I are on the Cove Communities Board, and during the last meeting, maybe 2 meetings, we received some information about the use of drones for police enforcement. And it's being developed. It's not here yet. There are privacy issues and so on. But I think that's worthy of adding that to our list of projects and
What's the
programs
issue?
that we would support.
Can you clarify that?
That we would support the continuing cooperation with the Cove communities on developing drones for law enforcement and other enforcement purposes.
Okay. Any other questions for staff?
Yes, I have a question. Unless we want to hear from the public first, my question is more of a rhetorical.
So let's go
one.
into
So
any
let's go-
specific questions on the safeguarding of the community. We got it? No more questions. Over to the public. Does anybody have any public comment on this particular section? Okay.
No, we do have one
One
gentleman.
comment, please step up to the mic. You got to be on TV if you're going to ask a question.
Couple quick questions. I'm not familiar with the Cove. Is that Mountain Cove that you're referring to?
No,
here?
it's the 3 cities of Indian Wells, Palm Desert, and Rancho Mirage.
Okay, that's called the Cove.
Cove communities.
Cove Community?
Yeah.
Okay.
So would you please state your name for the record?
Oh, sorry. Lowell Prehera.
Thank you.
Also, the drones. Who operates those drones?
Mr. Whitman?
Or who will operate those?
Those are essentially are being tested.
Right.
There's nobody's operating them yet. Am I right about
No,
that,
it's the
Greg?
Sheriff's Department.
But City of Palm Springs has a pretty active drone program going right now, although I think it's more in kind of the beta testing.
I can
But it's the
expand if
sheriff's.
you'd like. I can give more details of the
Please,
count.
go ahead.
So Palm Springs is utilizing drones as a test, but it's as a first responder. And so what they're seeing is that drones can actually get on scene because they don't have the traffic impact of responding to a call. And they use it also heavily for surveillance of crimes and other items. And so the Cove communities, through the Sheriff's Department, is looking to do a program to deploy it in Rancho Mirage, Palm Desert, and Indian Wells through those Cove communities. And likely, if the council moves forward with that program, there would be one drone based in Indian Wells, and there would be multiple drones in the other communities that would work together in tandem.
And again, who's operating?
It'd be sheriff deputies and sheriff personnel, so that way the information is kept confidential.
Right. It'd be somebody in the sheriff's office.
Correct.
Correct.
So we won't have access to the footage. And some folks have expressed concerns about, well, I don't like the idea of a drone flying over my home. And there's policies and protocols in place with the sheriff's department that they're not allowed to turn their cameras on to when they're responding to calls looking over people's homes.
Right.
So there's an extensive review that will happen at the council level should it move forward.
Any
Okay.
other questions?
That's it.
Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions from the public? Anybody? Okay, I don't see any more. So back to the dais. Mr. Sanders, you had,
Thank you.
hold on 1 second, I apologize. Do we have a motion to, follow the staff recommendation of approving the projects and programs?
Motion to approve.
Any second?
Well, I would amend,
Plus the Cove drone support,
correct.
right? So, any,
Yeah, and I have an
do we have a
addition.
second?
I'll second the
Thank you very
motion. For purposes of discussion, can we go back to the slide that has the ISO issue on it? Is that it?
Oops, went too far.
Okay, we have under status completed, but I would disagree with the issue being completed. The goal is to get to an ISO 1, and that's an ongoing effort. At least it was under Chief Beverland's watch here. So I would urge the council to include the effort to get to from an ISO 2 to an ISO 1 as part of going forward with that program.
I'm seeing a nod from our fire chief here that that is in alignment with his goals as well. Is
Yep.
that correct? Okay. Any other deliberations? Otherwise, call the question. All right. Move for approval. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Passes unanimously with the addition of the Cove Drove support. Okay, we're going on to fiscal responsibility and sustainability. Mr. Friedland, Dr. Friedland.
Thank
Forgive
you
me.
once again, Mayor and Council. So under this goal of fiscal responsibility and sustainability, our goal statement is to foster fiscal health through disciplined long-term planning, conservative budgeting practices, heightened efficiency, increased revenue, and cost recovery. And so the first program and projects there is to examine opportunities to expand and diversify city revenues, and there's a couple goals underneath there. The first item is to consider a sales tax measure. Last year, the council decided not to move forward with a sales tax measure at this time. I think they felt that it was not necessary to move forward with that project, and as such, we're marking that as completed. Two is to develop a strategy to improve no-low property tax status. Our finance director provided information last year that this effort would require Riverside County to be willing to share the revenues and may require state legislation to move that forward. After reviewing the obstacles, it was decided not to move forward with this item. And Mr. McCarthy can cover a little bit more if he needs to on that item. Under adjust policies for more efficient use of city funds, fiscal policy updates, while we're always going to be monitoring those and making changes throughout the course of the year, there are some specific policies that the council asked for last year, and those have been completed. Everything from purchasing policies, when we do RFPs for certain criteria of consultants and whatnot. So we mark that as completed, even though it will be ongoing. The sponsorship policy update, the council provided an update to it, the policy. I have it marked as completed at the time of the report, but I think that there is going to be further discussion of this item at your budget meeting. So I would amend that to be in progress if it's okay with the council. And then as we get down to expand community partnerships to expand fiscal efficiency, again, we marked that as completed because that's just going to be a practice of the city moving forward and ongoing, and we've seen some great success with that. Continuing on, similarly, we believe we are very successful in pursuing county, state, and federal grants. Mr. McCarthy mentioned, I think we have over $28 million out in pending. We have received $4 million, or excuse me, over $14 million. I believe that was the number. Oh no, $4 million that we've received, and I think there's $18 million that's on file that we're trying to get. Thumbs up. Thank you, Kevin. And so we are, like I said, been very successful, and we anticipate to receive more grant funding here shortly. And then finally, we have initiated government efficiency and organizational improvement study that is in progress. As we went to bring a consultant on board to do this efficiency study, one of the things that was noted is the city's job descriptions have not been updated in some time. And so in order to do a proper efficiency study, we needed to update those job descriptions. That is currently ongoing with a consultant, and that should be wrapped up this summer. And with that, Mr. Mayor, is an update to your goals and fiscal responsibility for the year.
Thank you. Does anybody on the dais have any questions?
I do. I have a question. Can you elaborate a little bit more? I probably should have done this earlier on the $18 million, where that's going to be applied.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The 18 million that now approved, the lion's share of that is at 10 million, part of a two-part federal grant that will be used for channel lining improvements along the channel at Highway 111 and Miles area there. Yeah. The rest of it, look, Dina, do you know the other end? You know,
I know
Mayor Pro Tem, I will get back to you with
Thank
the,
you.
and the full council with the other 8. I'm not recalling that. I apologize.
And then the 4.9 that's already been received, is that for the channel lining as well?
No, sir. That was for other projects
Others,
that have
okay.
been completed. And one of the projects was the drop structure as well. Yeah, so all that work we've done in the golf resort.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Reed?
How are we doing with the energy savings from the solar that we installed? Presumably, we have seen some reduction in our bills already, and I'm just wondering how much we're saving.
Actually, yes, we are saving funds. Actually, we have our consultant, ARC Alternatives, and we are planning to bring you back a full report for the first year of operation as part of your budget discussions. So we will have a complete report of the savings that has been generated
And when will that be?
at part of your budget deliberations this year. I
And,
believe that's
and
correct.
to add to that, will that include the concession from the solar installation company?
Yeah, that's already built in. So what we'll do is we'll do in the report, we'll talk about the cost of the installation of the system, how it's being funded, because it's not being funded by our general fund, as well as grant funds that we received. And as you mentioned, Councilmember or Mayor Pro Tem Penna, about $1 million in value that we were able to get rebated or concession from the installer.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the dais? Okay, anybody in the audience have a question for us on this particular matter? I don't see any, so coming back here, do I have a motion to, just to be specific here, motion to basically approve the recommendations from staff, but we're changing sponsorship policy to ongoing. We're changing expand Cove community projects to ongoing. We're changing continue proactive pursuit of county, state, federal funds to ongoing, so that we have 3 completeds and 3 ongoings and 1 in progress. Do I have a motion to approve that?
So move.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Passes unanimously. We're on to goal 3. Let's
Mr. Mayor, before
Yes,
we go
indeed.
on to the next item, I just want to underscore one comment made by the city manager. Financial efficiencies, it's not a once a year kind of review. It's a constant ongoing process within the city, particularly through the Public Safety Committee and the Finance Committee with recommendations to the City Council. So it's always ongoing, never completed.
Thank you for the comment. Okay, Mr. Dr. Freeland, we're on to goal number 3, encourage development and tourism.
Thank you once again. So for under encourage development and tourism, the goal statement reads to pursue economic development initiatives that attract and retain businesses, provides a strong, diverse local economy, addresses affordable housing needs, and enhances Indian Wells as a premier tourism destination. The first item, and this is marked completed, and that is continued discussions with Renaissance Esmeralda on the expansion of the resort. With the redesign of the players course, the Renaissance Esmeralda wishes to expand their resort. As you may recall, hole 18, the former players course, is actually owned by the Renaissance Esmeralda. We had a perpetual easement that allowed the use of that land. The city staff and legal counsel has come to a tentative agreement that will be bringing it back at either your April or May council meeting for final approval. Therefore, it's marked completed, but really it is in progress until we approve it at your next meeting. As part of that is an ongoing discussion of some deal points, one of which is, and I think it's very important for the public to understand this because many have not in my interactions with them, and I know your interactions with them as well, is securing the ownership of the land that we're on right now. Right now, that land that we're on today, this building, the driving range and the parking lot is actually owned by the Renaissance Esmeralda. And so as part of the ongoing discussions, the council has directed staff to secure that land as part of this discussion. And so we will be bringing back for the council's consideration, I said at a future meeting, hopefully shortly, to ratify those deal points and be able to allow the expansion of the Renaissance, but also secure some interest that the city council has set as a priority as well. The second item is to evaluate relationship with economic development organizations. We do this every few years as a council body just to make sure that the interests align with the city's goals. And that was done and completed late last year with regards to review by the Finance Committee and eventually approval by the City Council. On there, one of the organizations listed is the Coachella Valley Economic Partnership. Unfortunately, the partnership dissolved about a year ago, and so that organization no longer exists. Begin the multi-year implementation of the city's general plan. That item is completed. We have begun that process of implementing the general plan, and that will be ongoing for many, many years. Next item, and this is one of, I know, of interest to a lot of folks, and that is the process, the entitlements for the Cocoon Resort development. The city is actively working with Cocoon to submit for approval their entitlement package, as well as the negotiations of a development agreement. We're making every effort to try and get that wrapped up before summer as we break for the summer recess in either June or July at the latest. And we'll bring back more for you. For those of you who are not familiar with the Cocoon Resort is being proposed on the vacant land to the west of Miles and Highway 111, as well as improvements there, which will include a hotel condos, wellness center, villas, and other amenities. The last estimated investment was around $700 million into Indian Wells for this project. And this project has been delayed for many, many years. I'm sure there's residents here that remember there was previous approval for a previous developer called TMC to do a hotel. And that's been delayed for years because nothing can move forward along Highway 111 and all that vacant land until the channel from the existing affordable housing units at Mountain View Villas all the way to Renaissance on the south side is armored, as well as a portion of the north side. And so with the recent federal grants that the city has been successful in obtaining, a commitment from the developer to fund the rest, as well as a little bit of money from CVWD, we're quite optimistic that the money is in place to start moving this project forward. And now we're working through the various entitlement programs with the Coachella Valley Water District, who has approval of designs. And then there's permitting with different state and federal agencies, including California Department of Fish and Wildlife. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of bureaucracy that both the ownership of Cocoon as well as the city is navigating through. As part of this, Dina will share with you the channel project, and that is a project that the city will be managing once all the necessary approvals are done. So that item is in progress. Below that is the process, the entitlements for development on the east side of Miles and Highway 111. That is something we anticipate will be begun maybe towards the end of this year or in early 2027. The same ownership that has the property on the west side of Miles 111 acquired the property on the east side of Miles and Highway 111. And they are looking to do entitlement package sometime next year as well for their project. A couple of last opportunities here is one is identify potential locations for new tourism attractions. There was a list presented to you last year of a museum of tennis, which has been something of interest over at the tennis gardens, perhaps a museum for golf, the original Indian Wells, a partnership with the Preservation Foundation, energetic studies museums, a lot of different ideas to try and put heads in beds and to create more activation here in Indian Wells. So that is an item that's pending. There hasn't been much significant work done by city staff. And then lastly, this has been on for a few years, is to explore sister city opportunities. Staff has it pending. We would like to explore whether or not this is still a priority with the city council because there has been little interest outside to advance that priority. But again, we'll leave that to the council's discussion. that provides us that we recommend council approve the projects and program as presented by city staff unless amended. And the one we really need direction on is the sister city opportunities, unless there's others you wish to bring up as well. Thank you.
I have a quick process question. You've allocated some status as progress and some status as pending.
Sure.
How do you view the difference between the two?
Progress means we're actively working on it today. Pending means they have not begun the process of working on those items.
But I think we have on a lot of these that are pending, like entitlements and whatnot, but so be it. It just means that we're actively working on them. Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions on the dais?
I do.
Okay, Mr. Penn.
City Manager Freeland, can you explain to the residents the current state of the Genton property now and the difference it's going to make with the setback with the lining of the channel, so they understand why you fought so hard to get the $10 million for the lining of the channel, aside the city paying for that?
Right. So what has been the challenge of any development along Highway 111 has been that the water district has a requirement that you're not allowed to build any vertical construction along Highway 111 that's within 300 feet of the channel. And some parts of the property might only be 300 feet wide if you look at the east side. So that makes most of the land along Highway 111 undevelopable. As part of the new development, the property owner is getting approvals to actually build a little bit into the channel as well as armor the channel. That is going to allow a greater amount of development to occur on both the west side and eventually the east side. If you look at an aerial of the east side property, it actually kind of bottlenecks down in the middle of the property, almost like a bow tie. And the idea is to create more developable land throughout that property as well. And actually, there's 10 acres at the far east side next to Mountain View Villas that's actually owned by the Housing Authority. And as part of that armoring of the channel, there will actually be an expansion of that land. So the Housing Authority will gain a little bit more land on our acreage there as well. And so at the end of the day, these channel improvements are going to have a great impact for the community.
Mr. Sanders.
Comment. One of the most underutilized assets, maybe in the world, and I'm not overstating it, is the Stadium One at the tennis garden. It's only used for tennis for 2 weeks out of the year. Many comments I've received, not only this year, but over the years, that stadium would be a terrific concert venue. And in fact, in the past, it has been used for concerts. My understanding is the present owner is not particularly interested in using it for anything other than tennis. And coupled with that is it's an infrastructure problem. The tunnel through which equipment is brought onto the court is too small to accommodate some of the larger pieces of equipment that are necessary to accommodate a concert. That stadium is going to be there for a long time. Nothing is forever. There is a potential gold mine for the city in terms of admissions tax that could accrue from further events occurring at Stadium One. So I'm not suggesting that we throw any resources at it at this time, but I think in terms of long-term goals and discussions with the representatives of the owner of the tennis garden, it would be a good idea to, from time to time, bring up the possibility of having further events there, and maybe even having a situation where the city participates in whatever infrastructure improvements are necessary in order to accommodate the larger equipment necessary for concerts and so forth through a sharing of the admissions tax.
Just a counter comment to that would be that you can rest assured that your ad hoc committee consisting of myself and Brian have incentivized the ownership of the Indian Wells Tennis Garden to bring in more events during the year as part of a negotiation to continue the relationship there. So that is currently in discussion. And over the years, there have been a number of discussions with regard to adding hotel, museum, additional restaurants, etc. So I think there's a mutual desire to increase revenue opportunities. Let's also note, though, historically, when those concerts appeared and the Lakers appeared, kind of interesting, the Lakers appeared outside, this, at the Indian Tennis Garden. There was no Acrisure Arena. So we now have a situation where, people who act, who come and want to perform have options and, one's indoor, one outdoor, et cetera, et cetera. So great idea. We're on it. Are there any other questions with regard?
Two things. Number one, a contra argument to the contra argument. The Stadium One is about 50% bigger in terms of seating capacity for concerts. So it would be attractive to concert promoters, number one. Number two, if there are discussions, let's put it on the list.
Are there any other questions with regard to development and tourism?
I agree with Councilmember Sanders 100%. It should be put on the list.
Are there any other questions regarding encourage development and tourism? I don't see any, so let's go out to the public. Is there any public comment with regard to this particular section, goal number 3? I don't see any hands. So as we come back, let's see, we wanted to create a motion here to accept the staff approval of this particular agenda, which would be amended to say that the continuing discussions of Renaissance and Esmeralda is not completed, but it's in progress. And I would suggest as part of the motion that we remove the exploration of sister cities as part of city staff moving forward. The rest of these initiatives remain as stated. Do I have a second?
Second.
Are there any discussion?
Yes, can you explain why you want to take out Sister City?
I think the concept of a sister city, based on the incredible amount of large initiatives here stated, from increasing revenue opportunities at the Indian Wells Tennis Garden to cocoon development to et cetera, the expansion of the Esmeralda or such is the focus of the city and our staff and resources.
May I be heard?
Please.
The Sister City was formed originally during the Eisenhower administration. Dr. General Eisenhower, of course, being an Indian Wells resident. It is something that many cities use for the purpose of encouraging travel between the two locations. We have had discussions in the past about perhaps a sister city in Canada, given the fact that we have a large number of Canadians coming to us, at least in the past anyway. Hopefully they will continue to come. It also can be a sister city in the United States. I would hate to just precipitously eliminate it. I would like to make a substitute motion that for the time being, we leave it in. If during our sponsorship or some other one of our discussions, we want to have a more lengthy discussion as to whether to keep it or not, I don't have a problem with that. But I don't think we should just precipitously, without any notice, pull the plug on what many cities consider to be an important part of their procedures.
So there's an amended motion on the table. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion. We've had discussions with the Canadian Consular Office in Los Angeles in the past about having a sister city relationship with the city of Kelowna, in British Columbia. And given the rather tattered condition of the relationship between the United States and Canada, and the fact that we have many, many, many part-time Canadian residents here, I think it would be a proper thing to do.
Okay, any other comments?
I think it would be a great thing. The only thing is, as long as I've been involved with the city, which is quite a while now, this has been pursued at great time of staff, and I think what the mayor is pointing out. So we have a lot of important items that are ongoing that are successful. The Sister City initiatives has been a complete lack of success from what I've seen. We've had discussions with other communities. I mean, I kind of feel like it's something that we ought to bring back later at a later time, maybe when our relationship with Canada is repaired and we have Canadian visitors, maybe we could bring it back. I just don't see the need for staff to spend a lot of time on this right now because I don't think it's happening. That's all. I think it would be great, but I just don't think it's going to happen.
Any other questions or comments?
So currently the motion is,
The motion is to accept the goal number 3 recommendation by staff as is, but with the amendment that the Renaissance Esmeralda is in progress versus completed,
no, in regard to the sister city.
is to keep that on the agenda,
Okay.
And
which it says
yeah.
pending right here.
and to include the tennis garden use for concerts and so forth.
Okay.
Yeah.
And to include encouraging the Indian Wells Tennis Garden to use their facilities for other events throughout the year. Right. Okay. Do we have shall we call the question here and vote? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? I'm going to vote no, but on we go. So 4 yes, 1 no, and on to number 4. Investing in infrastructure and amenities. Mr. Friedman.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. Goal number 4, investing in infrastructure and amenities. The goal statement here is to promote effective use of existing facilities through maintenance and repair and plan for future facilities, amenities, and infrastructure to benefit the community. I'm going to cover a couple of the programs and turn it over to our Public Works Director, Dina Purvis, for further discussion. The first item is examining opportunities to expand non-potable water use in the community. Staff is marking this completed. And that is because, this was an effort to address state water efficiency mandates for turf reduction by irrigating with non-potable water. We presented back to the City Council about a couple of months ago that we do have wells within our community to address non-potable water use should we need it. Right now, the golf resort, as well as a large amount of turf and other landscape throughout Indian Wells that is owned by the city, is actually irrigated with Colorado Mid-Valley pipeline water. In recent meetings with myself, city staff, the mayor, and the mayor pro tem with the water district, those discussions about access to Colorado River water continue, with the possibility of a reduction of Colorado River water coming to the Coachella Valley. But they have indicated they don't believe it will have any impact on the amount of water that is coming to Indian Wells. So that's one point. The other point about the non-potable water use is actually that directed to our homeowners associations in the community, and this idea that I can't remember the date, I think the mayor recalls it, that they have until a certain point to repurpose non-functional turf, which means removing grass or installing desert landscaping and whatnot, or drought-tolerant landscaping. And so we're marking this completed because from a city's perspective, we believe that the non-potable water use in our community is going well. One of the things we do want to look at in the future is, as we expand on the LaSoy opportunity parcel, is to connect that to non-potable water for the park space there and the housing authority property in the future. I'm going to skip down to the rehabilitation, redesign of Indian Wells Lane fountains, and we'll have Dina speak. At your last council meeting, council wanted to work with our hotel partners, or excuse me, not your last council meeting, but last year we talked about rehabilitating, redesigning the Indian Wells fountains, which is the gateway here to the golf resort in our hotel collection. That is marked as pending, and that is because as we are currently resolving some property use issues with both the Hyatt and the Renaissance, which we should have here rectified soon, then the next step is to work with our hotel partners to see if there's an interest to just rehabilitate or completely redesign our Indian Wells fountains. And part of that is because they fall within a landscape lighting and maintenance district that is funded by the city, the Hyatt, and the Renaissance. And so we'll have future discussions with them. I would imagine we'll start those discussions this summer. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Purvis to go over the remaining projects for you.
Morning, Mayor Taylor, council members, residents. Dina Purvis, your Public Works Director. I'm here today to review briefly with you what has happened during the last year in Indian Wells' infrastructure. To remain brief, I'll review only a few of the many ongoing projects. Under completed projects on this slide, you'll see the work done in and around the City Hall parking lot on the left, the re-roof of the fire station that sustained damage in Tropical Storm Hillary on the top right, one of the local road streets that were paved on the bottom right, and a shot of the Players Course reimagination. While Public Works did not construct the Players Course, the department was fairly instrumental in many of the other things that were going on with that. Another area of completed projects occurred in and around the northeastern corner of the city. Work on both Miles and on Washington included paving and landscape refreshing. At the last 2 years of strategic planning, multiple projects were advanced by council. All advanced projects are either in design, like safer streets, shovel-ready, like the paver replacement and the sidewalk widening, pending construction, like the palm tree replacement, or complete, like local road paving, vehicle replacement, and city hall ductwork. All shovel-ready products have been bid at least twice as we continually try to seek the best prices. Projects currently in the pipeline include IREN-funded energy efficiency improvements, such as single-pane window replacements for the fire station, the expansion of the Walk of Honor to include another stone, the low-flow channel down the center of the Whitewater Channel, and Highway 111 drought-tolerant landscaping. Last year, council asked for a test plot of the drought-tolerant landscaping, and that work is starting this week. This last slide highlights some of this year's upcoming projects from the currently approved capital improvement program. Of note is the, oh, I touched it. Phew. Of note is the Fred Waring Drive rehabilitation, which is a joint project with Palm Desert and is going in front of their council shortly for participation approval. If approved, the cost will be split between the two cities at a 60-40 split, with Indian Wells carrying the 60%, which is based upon lane miles. This list also includes what Chris was referring to, the Whitewater Channel lining project. We've been working hand in hand with the developer to move that forward. It's as close as it's ever been, for sure. And that concludes my presentation. And I'd love to answer any questions.
So, Dr. Freeland, does that conclude the entirety of Goal 4?
It does, and give me a second, I'll bring up the slide for the recommendation, which of course is to,
I have a question.
go for it, please.
I have questions.
I understand.
Yeah, please come back to me.
All right. So, go ahead, Mr.
Okay, I do have a question about the slurry that was done, I want to say last summer.
Mhm.
This was before
It was the beginning of the year.
Yeah, this is
still
before
winter.
you were promoted into your position now.
Correct.
And a lot of complaints from the residents that it was subpar as far as the overall texture and the overall application of it. The edges are seem to be high where it meets the gutter. So there were I feel, and I've actually went out and and viewed some of it, that we could have done a better job with it.
We did watch the slurry for many months. I actually talked about it at strategic planning last year. There were some streets where it set up pretty slowly. They have evened out. There were cul-de-sacs that, in my opinion, could have been done better, and they are being redone this year.
Okay.
Only, oh, I'm sorry. I don't,
Yeah.
only the cul-de-sacs are being redone? None of the.
Only the slurry cul-de-sacs that did not set up properly because the slurry actually moved. The turning radius inside the cul-de-sac promoted a lot of movement that we could not allow to set.
Yeah. Okay, so let me go a little deeper in the weeds on this. So when Ken was here and the slurry was going down, we had some streets that were being repaved,
hmm
and the disparity between the new paving and the slurry is night and day.
Correct. They're completely different processes.
And so, in regard to the slurry, how many times can you slurry it where you have too big of an edge that meets the gutter? Because we have that problem in a lot of the ungated areas now.
Correct. I would say that most of those streets, I'm going to give an educated guess, about 70% of them cannot afford to have slurry the next time.
So, to elaborate on that, are we going to allow that edge to be that high? Because isn't there a tolerance level that's the guy?
I haven't seen any that are outside of that tolerance level, but if you've seen some and you want to point them out to me, I'll go out with you.
Okay, so what is the schedule for reslurring the streets? So we just had it. What's the forecast on when those will be addressed again? Because obviously it'll be repaved.
Slurry lasts 5 to 7 years.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Whitman?
So I'm just going to follow up that for a minute. I would like to have that reviewed again. I think Mr. Penna is absolutely correct. It's not just the cul-de-sacs that haven't set up properly or that have edges that are too high. It's also the arterial streets. And I, for myself, and I don't know about others, I'm not satisfied with the appearance and the functionality of those slurried streets. I think they're rough. I don't think they have set up well. And I don't think there's anything more important to the residents of any city, including Indian Wells, than to have, and especially in Indian Wells, to have a superior product on our arterial and cul-de-sac roads. We use them every day. It's of superior importance to the community. And I, for one, I'm not satisfied with the with where we are in that slurry. So I would like to include those in the infrastructure and amenities section as something that we need to spend some time on, some more time on.
Any other comments, Mr. Whitman?
No.
Okay. On this side, Mr. Sanders.
Yes, the easy one first. What's the schedule for the Warner Trail improvements?
The second half,
Yeah.
so was a slight delay in order to allow the Losoy property negotiations to move forward and for us to understand what kind of permanent improvements would be necessary. The plans are ready to be bid. I'm sorry. The RFP is ready to be let for design work at any time, but we did pause to allow some of this work to continue so that we would not construct twice.
Yeah, and the Water District has put in all of the improvements that they have planned?
To my knowledge, yes, they have constructed all the way to the driveway that is next to the school, adjacent to the school, and they are continuing to build that line, and that's where we would tee off of if we were going to connect.
Okay. Second issue, regarding Colorado River water and our use of it. It's my understanding that the negotiations among the stakeholders, basically the states that avail themselves of Colorado River water and the government of Mexico, it's broken down to the point where the feds are now stepping in and they're going to control the negotiations and the ultimate resolution. And I think it's a foregone conclusion that the amount of Colorado River water that goes for landscaping purposes is going to be drastically reduced in the future. So we have 2 water wells here at the Gulf Resort, correct?
I believe we have 3.
3, okay. Those water wells are not hooked up to the solar system, correct?
They are not.
Okay. And so if they're not hooked up to the solar system, we could expect some pretty significant energy charges from Edison for running those water wells, correct?
Yes, we would pay for the electricity to run the pumps.
Okay. I think what we need to do is have a little study done on what it would take to hook those 3 wells up to the solar system, because inevitably we're going to have to rely on them.
Any other comments on this side of the table, Mr. Reed?
Well,
Mr.
just to add to that, if we're going to have functioning wells, why wouldn't it behoove us not to have water storage as well?
No one's ever brought that up before.
All right. Let's see. The other question I have here is that Dr. Freeland asked the question as to when the new law comes into place on non-essential land, which is January 1st, 2027. Those of us who are in HOAs or who have ornamental lawn on our houses are going to need to be very aware of the new law as of January 2027. This past week, Dr. Freeland and I and Mr. Penna here, we all met with the executive director of the CVWD. And currently, though negotiations have been broken down, the state of California has recommended a 10% cut in our water, anticipate a 10% cut in our water usage going into 2027. And the executive director of the CVWD believes that they can absorb that amount. But they also believe that over the years to come and the dwindling water from the Colorado River are going to require a dramatic implementation of water saving to things like golf courses, which will end up looking more like Arizona than they do currently. But that's potentially 10 years out, could be sooner, but something for all of us to be aware of. Are there any other questions with regard to staff here?
I do have one more question.
Please, Mr. Rickman.
Just if on safer streets, El Dorado, Fairway, Cook, and Rancho Palmares, can you give us a forecast of when those streets are going to be completed? I know that Cook, as far back as 2017, was supposed to be repaved, and it's in terrible condition. I would say that Fairway is in very poor condition for a city of like Indian Wells. When can you give us a forecast of when the streets are going to be paved?
Yes. So at your April meeting, I will be bringing the 30% plans to you to review. Should you give me the blessing to move forward, we'll turn those into construction plans and aim to have all 4, if you bless all 4, in construction next summer.
Summer 27.
Summer 27.
Okay.
Does that
And the
answer your
sidewalk?
Everything on those plans.
Everything. Okay. Thank you.
All right. I don't believe there's any more questions up here. Are there any public comments on any of these matters? Don't be afraid to raise your hand. Okay. There you go. I had a feeling you had a question. I saw you looking eagerly.
Brenda Campbell.
Please come up and state your name.
Brenda Campbell, and I want to comment on the slurry. I really think those streets that were slurried should be redone. They're not looking good. So anyway, I just wanted to comment and appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There you go. All right. I believe that's the only public comment. Anybody else now have the courage to speak? Okay. We're coming back to the dais, and I believe the motion on the table is as follows. In fact, I would argue The completed status of non-potable water is an ongoing matter because the CVWD even showed us a map that showed El Dorado, what do you call it, the Vintage Club and the Reserve, all potentially pending for non-potable water use. And so I think we should keep this all in in pending or progress or whatever you want to say it. In fact, this entire sheet probably is pending because I also think that we need to add a review of the Surrey streets, and we need to add a review of of adding the water wells to the solar system. So by changing this page to all in progress and adding review of Surrey streets, adding solar system water wells, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Okay, do we want to deliberate on this or should we vote? I think we've deliberated enough. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, passes unanimously. We're making progress, ladies and gentlemen. On to number 5, Dr. Freeland, enhancing the quality of life.
Once again, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Enhancing the quality of life. The goal statement here is to actively seek out opportunities to maintain and enrich Indian Wells' quality of life. And so you have a variety of projects and programs that the staff has been working on with our various committees over this past year. And so the first project and programs you see listed is expand community activities programming and resident benefits. Last year, as part of your budget, there was a large allotment made for holiday decorations throughout the community that went from our budget process and then was eventually approved by our community activities committee, which their recommendation was submitted to the city council for approval. And we had some lovely Christmas lights up and down 111, as well as a large tree at City Hall. It's my understanding, and I'll defer to Mr. Penna, who's on the committee, I believe the intent next year is to get a little bit taller tree, if I understood that correctly. And so we'll see if that's the case. I know Mr. Reed wants it larger than the Rockefeller tree he jokes about. So maybe one day that'll happen. But we consider that item completed. It will be brought back as part of your budget to continue that program. Expand residents, not resident benefit card discounts anymore. So it's a typo. It's now residents benefit card discounts to city businesses. City staff sent out letters to our local businesses and asked if they wish to provide opportunities for residents who show their cards to get discounts of those businesses. And some businesses did take us up on that, and we have new programs in place to do so. And those are listed on the website. The city council also, as part of your budget process, provided additional funding for community events. And we're seeing that those events have been popping up throughout the course of the year. And so kudos to that community activities committee for managing those programs. There was a review by an ad hoc committee of the city's mission statement and branding for relevance today. There was some changes to the branding, which you also see in today's PowerPoint, as well as we had the new vision statement, which was part of the findings of that committee, and that's completed. We did a review of our communication plan and its implementation, made some changes there as well. So that item has been completed. You move on to our next set, Activate Fairway Park. Again, we've had some activation there. We are limited because there's no restrooms there. It's a challenge for parking, and we do have limited green space. But the Community Activities Committee has taken on as a task to identify opportunities to activate the park and do events there when they can. Next is the develop of a new park site or sites. As we mentioned on the Losoy Opportunity Parcel, that is the next location for a future park site, and we'll be working diligently on that one in the coming months. Develop new public art installations in Indian Wells. That's in progress. There was multiple locations that the city council mentioned. I'll talk about Fairway Park in a couple minutes, but some of that installation includes here at the golf resort, which we'll talk about in a little bit as well. So that is in progress. Update to the city's website. Now that the branding has been completed, we've done an RFP and we do have a new vendor online. We are actually updating the city's website with a hope of finishing that this weekend, or not this weekend, excuse me, this summer. That's a little bit too quick of a progress, but this summer. And so thank you to staff who's working diligently to get that done. There is an ad hoc committee that was formed to develop a plan to celebrate the city's 60th anniversary. And so we'll be bringing back some activation for our 60th birthday or anniversary, which is next year, as well as various projects and programs. And one of those that has been included in that discussion is whether or not to move forward on the development of a City of Indian Wells book. And then lastly, Fairway Park. It's our intent to, at your April or May meeting, to bring an update on shade structures there. Chris Herman, who was the original designer of the park, is coming back with some suggestions of perhaps maybe adding some trees to provide more shade opportunities around some of the seating areas of the park. Perhaps shade structures, if that's the decision of the council, and those shade structures perhaps could have a public art element. But then also we needed to add an additional path to make sure that we're completely in compliance with the Americans with Disability Act. And there's a potential that that path could also be a public art project. And so Mr. Herman, hopefully will have some suggestions for council discussion at your April meeting, if not in April, for May for sure. And with that is an update to the enhancing the quality of life section.
Well, lots of progress. Congratulations. All right. Is there anybody who has any questions for staff? Mr. Reed.
I know, I'm sure you covered this, but you were speaking so fast and I didn't catch it.
My apologies.
That's all right. I'm glad you did because I'm getting hungry. Develop a City of Indian Wells book. Those three are blank. What did you say about that? Or did you not say anything?
On which one? On the book? Yes, that's been wrapped into the 60th anniversary discussion by the ad hoc
Okay,
committee.
well, go to the next page. Oh, yeah, there it is there. So those are together. Is that it?
That's, yes, sir.
Okay.
My apologies, I spoke too fast on that.
No problem. Very good. Okay, fine. Thank you. Who's on the committee for the 60th anniversary?
I believe that's Council Member Sanders and Mayor Pro Tem Penna.
Okay, well, I hope you kill the book deal because that's, if we're worried about overburdening our staff, which apparently is of grave concern to a few of us, not me, but a few of us, that is one item that I think ought to be eliminated.
Well, that's a shame that you don't want the book because we were going to put some of your finest moments in there.
Exactly. Your picture was supposed to be on the cover. No, I think this would be a project that would be done in conjunction with the Indian Wells Preservation Foundation. And so I don't think the staff would be too burdened by it.
Are there any comments vis-a-vis what's on this particular page, enhancing the quality of life? Please. I have a couple questions. One is regarding the Update City website. I'm sure what we're doing is asking, well, I'm not sure. My question is, what do you think are the 3 or 4 mandates that you are requesting for the vendor to execute with regard to updating the city's website?
Michaela or Nick or both of you want to come forward? I know they've been both actively involved. I know that one of the things that I've asked to be incorporated is the idea of AI and including like an AI chatbot. And so that's one component I know that's going to be implemented. Another part is to improve the experience for residents making reservations for the tennis program. We had some struggles this year, and so that is going to change under the new process. And I'll defer to Michaela and Nick on some of the other items.
Some of the other items would include just navigation and getting residents to where we know they go quicker and easier and more seamless. And then making the overall look and appeal cleaner and easier to navigate. I think that's all I got.
And if I may add, I know our city clerk has been working diligently on this project as well for access to city documents to make sure that those are easily to be found as well.
And we're adding a chat bot, which would be the AI component of that.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Good answers. Let's see here. And so I don't know whether this is the right place to have this, but as was mentioned, the tennis lottery system, improving that, I believe it may be appropriate to add for further review the tennis ticket allocation policy for a future date. All right, so any public comments at this point on any of the things we've talked about in here? Okay, back to the dais. Do we have any further deliberations, or do we have a motion, please, to accept the completed and in progress as stated?
So moved.
Okay. For discussion purposes,
Second
seconded.
for me. Yeah.
I would think we should add and I agree with you, we should definitely include some consideration of the whole system of tennis allocations, and how that works for residents, for council, for the suites versus the tickets and so on. Secondly, now that we've approved the rodeo for next year, we need to decide, I think, whether we want to have a lottery for this year, whether we are going to have a lottery for the VIP section and so on, and that should be included also in the I guess on the website or somewhere, so that people know how to go.
Thank you.
Those amendments are acceptable to the maker of the motion.
Okay, so can we vote, please? All those in favor with the amended motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously, and we are on to the last section, I believe, which is various other city goals. Dr. Freeland.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So here under various other city goals, we have the goal statement is to develop the development of projects and programs that further the city's mission and vision statement, improve city operations, etc., that do not clearly fit within other goals. Specifically, there was last year the creation of a governance ad hoc committee to look at a variety of programs within the operations of the city. That committee met over the course of several months, and they made several recommendations that were approved by the city council. That included a clearer understanding of how council members add items to the agenda, a review of the city council committee assignments in that process, as well as development of a policy on proclamations and certificates. And again, changing the idea of a resident benefit card to residence benefit card, and the use and rules of the program, including a policy for enforcement of those rules. So we are considering this item completed. Under advocate to regional, county, state, and federal legislators and agencies to address public health and economic and tourism impacts of Coachella Valley air quality or dust resulting from Tropical Storm Hilary. This item is in progress, and we've seen significant momentum in the last few months. This is a high level and brief update on a pretty big issue that I'm going to give you. CVAG has identified space out near Cathedral City on land owned by the Bureau of Land Management and the Coachella Valley Water District as the source of this dust. Initially, the Air Quality Management District was not convinced there was an issue with dust, but now they are spending millions of dollars to study the issue of dust. As the study continues, so too are dust ideas for remediation. I know many of the council members have been actively discussing this in the region with other leaders of our region, as well as our state and federal officials. The city of Indian Wells was successful in having Congressman Calvert insert language for the federal government into the Department of Interior for the EPA to investigate the dust matter and provide a report back to Congress on dust in the Coachella Valley. Indian Wells will be heading to Washington, D.C. to address dust issues as well as other federal priorities here in the next couple of months, meeting with both Congressman Calvert as well as our U.S. Senators Padilla and Schiff on this and other matters of importance to the community. Next item is continue proactive legislative advocacy efforts. Indian Wells has increased its participation in legislative advocacy this past year in various areas, whether that be RENA reform, the creation of this opportunity for student housing, public safety. One of my pet peeves I've shared with the council, this idea of unfunded mandates, protecting local control, and much more. Staff believes that this item is completed, but will always be ongoing, as staff is to remain vigilant and work with Cal cities, contract cities, and our state and federal lobbyists to monitor legislation and to work with other cities here in the Coachella Valley to address issues of importance. The next item, which has become a very hot topic here, is the flight path change into Palm Springs Airport. I'd be more than happy to let the mayor, who's been actively involved, as well as other members of the council discuss this if you'd like. But briefly, last summer, the FAA changed the flight path into the Palm Springs Airport, bringing significant noise impacts to our community. Over the past several weeks, this has become a primary issue for quality of life for our residents. The city has been working with Congressman Calvert's office to get the FAA and Palm Springs Airport involved. I want to give kudos to Phil Valdez, who's our Palm Springs Airport Commissioner representing the city of Indian Wells. He has been an advocate to help address this issue. We recently have had meetings with the Palm Springs Airport staff, and we have found that they are willing, as well as the FAA, to look at alternative flight path if requested by the airport. Doesn't mean they're going to support it, but at least they're willing to look at it. And staff worked with Mr. Valdez to submit actually some proposed modifications to flight path for the Palm Springs Airport to review, and we're waiting a response. And with that, Mr. Mayor and the council, that's it for that item. Let's do it. If anybody wants to opine on that one before I move on.
Yeah, I think it's just worth noting that we've been very aggressive to address the overwhelming response from residents in our city as to the noise created by airplanes overhead. And we've met with the executive director of the Palm Springs Airport, who assured us without any hesitation that the FAA is the one where we should direct our wrath. We invited, Palm Springs Airport to make a presentation to our city as to why this is and what they're doing and their community efforts. So news at 11, which is my way of saying I'll keep you apprised when that meeting comes, because I would love to have 2,000 people show up and share their frustration with the noise levels of the airplanes overhead, just so they can see that, because we had over 200 people complain at our recommendation. They usually get 2 to 3 complaints per month, so we have their attention. And then on the FAA side, we've actually submitted a recommended new flight pattern to Congressman Ken Calvert, and very recently, like, Monday. So this is an ongoing process. I'm going to ask all of your patience because it's going to take some time, and the FAA doesn't move quickly, but the squeaky wheel and the pressure will remain.
All right, thank you. So that is an item that staff is presenting for consideration to be added as a new item to your list. And then under various other city goals, the last one is a new item as well, and that is to revisit CV Link in Indian Wells. CV Link is a 40-mile transportation corridor and recreation pathway through the Coachella Valley for pedestrians, bicyclists, and low-speed electric vehicles. Currently, CV Link ends at our western border near Palm Desert High School in Palm Desert, and on the east side of our community at Washington and Highway 111 in La Quinta. Due to concerns of CV Link coming through Indian Wells, voters approved a ballot measure in 2016 that requires voter approval to allow any portion of CV Link to be located within the city. There has been interest on the council to revisit CV Link in Indian Wells, connecting the segments that border our community, and therefore is on the list for your consideration. And with that, concludes the review of these various other cities initiatives. And so we're looking for direction on the various recommendations before moving on to the golf resort to conclude today.
I have a brief comment on the last item before we open it up to question, which is regarding CV Link. You used the language in Indian Wells. It could be around Indian Wells. The point is that we've gotten a significant number of residents requesting a participation in CV Link. We have not, as a council, deliberated on CV Link in any great manner, so the purpose is to add this for discussion. Is there any other questions that we have for staff on the dais?
I do.
Mr.
I have a process question about these items. With respect to the items that are not directly related to our municipal governance in Indian Wells, dust, airplane path changes, CV Link, things like that. When we approve this as a city strategic plan, as part of our strategic plan, what does that mean and again, apologies to Councilmember Reed, but what does that mean for staff time in this? Is this something that when we vote this as a strategic plan, that means that staff now gets involved in some significant manner in these matters?
I think it'll depend on what each initiative is. For example, I'll use the CV Link. A lot of that would have to be the burden of CVAG, which is the project administrator. To the mayor's point, I mentioned CV Link in Indian Wells because that is something that we would be involved in. CVAG has the ability today to bring CV Link around Indian Wells if they choose to do so. And so if it was to go through Indian Wells, we would imagine there'd be council interaction, public interaction, staff interaction with that project. If it went around it, not as much, I would imagine. Now, with regards to the airport, yes, there is staff involvement, whether it be working with, our airport commissioner, advocating on behalf of the city to change a flight path, if that's what the council is advocating for. It is depending on what the direction is. But once you put it on this list, that is in essence our authorization, spend more than the 2 hours that we normally do to advocate for these. And some of these you'll see are pending versus in progress because we haven't had the time to get to those. And so part of today's program is to look at where the priorities are to see where you do want us to spend our resources. And so, but if it's on this list, it will take staff time. I just can't, I can't quantify that today.
I'm just a little concerned, and I commend our mayor who's gotten involved in these projects that are regional or even national. The problem I see or that I worry about is that we spend a lot of time on these projects, and that things like that are really important, I believe, to our residents, which is our street paving, our street lining, our safer streets, our public safety. I don't want to see that taken a back seat because I think our responsibility as local elected officials is to make our city our first priority. And I get the importance of these other matters, although I will say, with respect to dust, Mother Nature has to some extent taken care of this because we've had tremendous winds the last few weeks. And I can tell just anecdotally, I don't have any scientific evidence, but I can tell you from the condition of my backyard and my patio, which in prior years I've had to clean once a week, that there's no dust. I mean, I don't know how else to say it, but I don't know whether we're spending a lot of time on something that Mother Nature has decided to resolve or at least to improve significantly. As well, the flight path change into Palm Springs Airport, there have been 200 or more apparently complaints about it. Do we have access to those complaints? I mean, as a city council, do we have access to the 200
I suppose you
complaints?
could make a public record request with the Palm Springs Airport because that's where the
Is
complaints
that
were
where there's
registered.
two? Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I would like to have access to those complaints to see, what the complaints actually are. I mean, I don't like the airplanes coming over either, and hopefully we can get a solution. I commend our mayor for looking into this and spending time on it, but I just don't want our city problems, our city issues, our city projects and priorities to take a back seat to these other regional or national issues. That's all.
And thank you for the comments. A little more on the deliberation side than the questions for staff, but do we have any other questions for staff specifically before we go to public comment? Okay. Do we have any public comments on any of these matters? Okay. Back to us to deliberate. Do I have a motion? Okay. Very good.
I'll second the motion and under discussion, let's take the dust issue. I've, along with the mayor, I've been involved with the dust issue here for several months. In my experience, there's been very little staff time devoted to this. and I think the city manager would agree. The mayor and I have independently gone out and raised the dust with respect to dust. Look, the, we haven't had the kinds of winds yet. We're not even into the windy season yet here in the Coachella Valley to gauge whether or not Mother Nature has taken care of the problem. Number one. Number two, you can ask any healthcare professional in the Coachella Valley about the threat to public health, including our most recent visit with the Desert Sands Unified School District personnel, the threat to children.
Which included the principal of Gerald Ford Elementary School.
That's correct. To me, and my attitude about this was reflected in a rather testy engagement with the executive director of CVAG at a city council meeting. The appalling lack of leadership in terms of doing anything about the problem prompted us to get involved. Somebody had to stand up and say, wait a minute, I don't care about all of the institutional governmental inertia against us. This is a major threat to public health. And by the way, it's also a major threat to the tourist industry here in the Coachella Valley. And of the 9 cities in the valley, the most dependent on tourism is our city, the city of Indian Wells. So there's a very direct relationship between dust in the air and the future of our city in terms of financial security. The mayor and I have been like Sisyphus trying to push the rock up the hill. I mean, it is a tough slog. But finally, the regulators are taking note. The South Coast Air Quality Management District is finally allocating some money to study, gauge the significance of the threat. And thanks to Congressman Calvert, we now have the Environmental Protection Agency involved. This is something that really has to be done. And if nobody else will do it, we're going to have to do it. Pure and simple.
I think to add to that, I just got a call from Eisenhower Hospital, who I've been working with over the health and safety of not only our residents, but the residents of Coachella Valley. And they have they have about a 3-year study there. They want to come and meet with Greg and I on, and anybody involved in dust, which is really probably Supervisor Perez and his associate, which are kind of the lead people on this matter. But for me, I don't think there's anything more important than the health and safety of our residents, and dust is certainly a key element to our health, as particulate matter is very dangerous. And as it relates to the FAA, I've never seen any issue that is more top of mind than the FAA and the flight patterns. People are deeply concerned about their property values. People are concerned about the noise level and disturbance of waking them up, hearing planes at midnight and 6:30 in the morning. People are concerned about the fact that the new air pattern of landing directly conflicts with Bermuda Dunes takeoff approach. There's danger issues there. So the point is, I think that these are 2 issues that are core to the health and welfare of the Indian Wells community, and would recommend that we continue to allow staff whatever little time they're putting on this, because it's not significant compared to other issues. Yes, Dana. Mr. Reed.
I 100% agree with the mayor and council member Sanders. I think the dust issue is a public safety issue. I'm not worried about dust on my patio or my car. I can get that washed off, but the dust in your lungs is a little bit more difficult to eradicate. And so I completely concur with your your assessment of its importance. I would like to remind everyone, we are a contract city. We have the ability and the responsibility of, when we get involved in things that are not of general nature, to hire a consultant. That's what we do. Now, if we were Los Angeles, oh, hell, we would just go hire a bunch of experts, put them on the payroll, and they'd have nothing to do. That's not what we do. We contract out. And so the ability to get things done is not contingent upon how many extra hours staff has. It's contingent upon our finding the right consultants to help us navigate our various projects, and the dust issue is one of them. I don't expect any of our staff members to be dust experts. And if we need to hire somebody, we should do so on a contract basis. That's just my 2 cents worth. As far as the dust on my car is concerned, I go to Quack Wash every couple of weeks and they take care of it. But I'm more worried about the dust in my lungs.
Other comments?
I totally agree. We should, if we're going to continue with this at the level that we're at, we should hire a consultant. And I don't know who would be a consultant for that, or whether it's a health consultant or a dust consultant. And I also think it's great that I think I heard earlier that somebody in Cathedral City is agreeing to put some mitigation on the dust coming from there. Is that right, City Manager?
It's my understanding that CVWD is willing to look at that. I don't know that anyone has committed to actually doing it, because there's also concerns about environmental approvals to apply any application.
But they've made the determination, I believe you said, that that's where the dust is coming from?
Is an area outside of Cathedral City, correct?
Okay. So, I mean, so that's great, and I agree, we should hire a consultant, and we should, hopefully, our county administrator will take care of that for us. And with respect to the flight path change, we have a great representative at the airport. He gave a very, very great discussion with us at City Council at the last meeting about what actually is happening, which I think was very valuable. And I'm not saying we shouldn't continue this. I just hate to see it taking over our staff time when there are other things that are so important.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to accept this page, if you will, as is. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. It passes unanimously. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, it's 12 o'clock. And that actually, I believe, ends this strategic planning meeting.
Actually, it ends the city portion.
City portion of the
Yes.
strategic planning meeting? Yep. So the next thing up is what? The golf resort, strategic planning, great session for housing. No, that's it. Is that it?
The golf resort portion now.
Okay, let's do the golf resort portion.
Yes. So to members of the public, Mayor, we changed the format a little bit. We do have Robin, our general manager, Bill, who's here, Chris Strauss, and Bradford here to answer questions. But we changed the format a little bit just to focus on the projects and programs that you previously approved. And so we're going to go through that list for you today. So Indian Wells Golf Resort is a premier destination offering world-class golf, amazing dining, exceptional hospitality, and a sophisticated entertainment experience for residents and guests alike. And so before you are numerous projects and programs that the city and the golf resort, with our partnership with Troon, have been working on this past year. The first has been to identify a dedicated funding source for the celebrity course rehabilitation. The council has approved the use of the former redevelopment agency funds, as well as we have about 20% of the surplus each year going into the Golf Resort Capital Fund. So we are going to have the project fully funded for construction to begin in May of 2027. On your next agenda, there will be approval for Troon to manage the project like they did with the Players Course last year, as well as funding requests for costs associated for various consultants in preparation of putting the project out to bid. That includes Clive Clark's fees, who has agreed to be part of the project and is excited about seeing his course rehabilitated. Updates to irrigation, so there'll be some irrigation design work as well. And this will all lead up to a bidding process to happen in the next couple of months. That authority does not give Troon the authority to construct. It'll only give them the authority to move forward with the costing, and the council will have the authority to award the bids later on this summer. So this item, while we consider it completed, staff would recommend that we change this goal to host a grand opening celebration of the rehabilitation of the celebrity course in fall of 2027. Next item here is host a grand opening celebration for the redesign of the players course. That was done, and it was a job well done by Troon, and I think the community enjoyed coming out for that afternoon. I will note on a couple items with regards to the redesign of the players course. John Vogt was out here a couple weeks ago. He walked the course with Nick Leiter, our Director of Agronomy, Joe Williams, and others. I think Robin was part of that as well, to talk about some improvement to safety by the addition of some additional trees on the course and some enhanced landscaping. And so the project came under budget by well over $300,000. And so I've told Mr. McCarthy to work with Troon to utilize a portion of that to include in additional trees and additional landscaping to meet those additional needs that Mr. Vogt and Troon have identified. And so that's going to continue moving forward. Next is a review of resident and or resident guest rate fee structures. The council has asked staff to look at, and Troon to look at, the utilization of the T-sheet by residents for an issue of equity. And so that is tentatively planned to come back at your April 16th meeting for discussion as well. Bringing major
Can I
golf.
just raise a point there?
Certainly.
The review is not regarding the rate fee structure.
It is not. This is how it was listed before. We can change that, Mr.
The
Mayor.
review is for access.
Yes. Okay, we'll make that note. Thank you for that clarification. The next item was bring a major golf tournament to Indian Wells. The city and Troon are actively still pursuing leads on potential sponsors. As we've shared in the past, the LPGA has expressed an interest in being here at the Indian Wells Golf Resort. And so Troon, and we have a golf ad hoc committee of the city council who is working on this project. We've had no luck with the sponsorship at this time, but we do have a few folks out there who have expressed an interest. And so myself, Steve Neiman, will be following up and providing the ad hoc committee with an update at a future date. So we consider this still in progress. Next is hire a design consultant for various capital improvements. You move on that slide. The council has authorized us to start moving forward in the past with various projects. One is banquet kitchen and pavilion improvement designs. Second is a parking lot expansion design on the former hole 18. Installation of public art at Kestrel. Modifications to shots of the night putting course. Installation of the legacy wall at the lobby of the golf resort. And before we move on to the next slide, the parking lot expansion design is intended to come back at your April agenda for approval to move forward with final construction designs to build a parking lot. Our hope is to try and build one over the summer, but we'll have to see based on how quickly we can move that project forward. Installation of public art at Kestrel. I know Robin has been working with an artist to have not a flock of seagulls, but a flock of kestrels perhaps coming up the staircase entering into Kestrel. Modifications to the shots of the night putting course. Troon is working on getting some ideas of costing on that. That has been shared with the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee has a recommendation to bring that back at your April agenda. As part of that will also be a contract to let Troon manage that construction project, similar to the players course and the celebrity course as well. And just as a recollection, the intent there is that the shots of the night putting experience, the technology there is obsolete. And so the idea is to create a version like a pop stroke or an outdoor miniature golf course with artificial turf that can be utilized both day and night. All right. And then the installation of a legacy wall in the golf resort. Our intent on that one is to put funds into the budget for the coming year for the city. So that way Troon can move forward with a legacy wall that would go on the north side of the wall between the pro shop and the men's restroom there in the lobby. The Indian Wells Golf Resort continued. Installation of public art. I already mentioned that. That's something that's pending and which will start moving forward here shortly. But then also seek out opportunities to activate the celebrity ballroom. We have not had much success there. I know Troon had some initial concepts, perhaps with Callaway Golf. That has not moved very much further. I will say that during the tennis tournament, I met with the folks from the Taste of Tennis. And the idea is that they would like to see Taste of Tennis have a greater activation other than just the one day here in Indian Wells. And the idea that I mentioned to them is perhaps having an event and activity here at the golf resort, maybe in a partnership with Kestrel, and to create maybe an immersive experience here in this ballroom where perhaps you're trying to do a volley on a serve from, Yannick Sinner that's coming in at you at 130 miles per hour. How are you able to react? So the idea is to try and create some sort of an immersive experience here, perhaps as part of that partnership as well. And with that, we're recommending the advancement of these various projects and programs as outlined.
Would you care to just elaborate a little further on public art and what that means and whether that comes from a budget allocation the city has for public art?
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I'll have Mr. McCarthy interject if there's any additional information you need. As developers come into our community, there's various fees that they have to pay for new development. One of those is funding our public art program. So as projects are advanced, they put money into the public art fund. If the public art funds are not utilized, they get returned back eventually to those developers. We have been looking to expand public art in our community. We have much public art here at the golf resort already. If you look around some of the art installations that we have as part of the reconstruction, but there's been interest to expand public art here at the golf resort. So it is not an impact to your general fund in any way. I don't know what the balance is. I don't know, Mr. McCarthy, hate to put you on the spot. Do you have a dollar amount of what's available?
About 800.
So Mr. McCarthy said we have approximately $800,000 of public art funds that are available. And the intent has been with this city council's direction to try and see about providing more public art at this facility, perhaps at Fairway Park. And the other is perhaps including, should we move forward with the redesign of the fountains on Indian Wells Lane? So those are three opportunities that we've identified for public art.
Thank you. Does anybody on city council have questions for staff? No questions. Anybody in the audience have questions on this matter? No questions. All right, so can I have a motion to approve the projects as stated?
Inclusive of access structure for golf.
Want to repeat that while your mic's on?
Oh, sorry.
I brought it up.
Yeah. Approve inclusive of the access structure for golf.
Okay. Do you have a second?
Second the motion.
Does anybody want to deliberate or shall we vote? Okay, let's vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, the motion passes unanimously. All right. I believe that ends this particular strategic planning session.
It does, if I can have just a quick second, Mr. Mayor. First, I want to thank the City Council and the Housing Authority, the community members who came out today. We want to thank you for spending your time. I want to say thank you, especially to the city staff who put all this hard work together, and of course, our friends at Team Troon. Special thanks to Jill Moon who put the PowerPoint together, Nick Warner who worked with our video and IT folks to put together the activities. And finally, a summary of these actions will show up on your April 16th agenda under the consent calendar to reflect the approvals the City Council made today so the entire community can see. And with that, Mr. Mayor, I thank you, and we'll turn it back over to you to conclude the meeting.
So 3 hours and 15 minutes, not bad. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you for coming. This meeting's adjourned.